Hello there. I was just going through these, reminding myself what I had left, or what I can start with, and it seems all we have is the distrust of Rika's mother. So let's go ahead and start with that. Rika has developed a high fever. I know that was a requirement for somewhere else. A very high fever. It's not flu season, nor a season for any type of contagious disease. I could only think of the suspicious experiments Rika has gone through. Maybe the fever is being caused by those. Her growth is rather slow compared to other children her age. Receiving mysterious shots and going through experiments every week, I'm sure her body is exhausted. I've asked the staff to go easy on her, but Rika herself is fearless and is willing to go through anything. My husband, who should be admonishing her for that, truly believes their story that it's crucial to the lives of over 2,000 villagers, and takes our own daughter to that clinic every week. I'm the only one who's sincerely worried about her health. That's why I want to ask Dr. Irie to be a little more considerate towards Rika. Anyway, I have to talk to them about taking responsibility for this. Right after I called, a staff member came to pick Rika up to admit her to the clinic. As her guardian, I came with them. Please, calm down. We'll make sure she'll be okay, so please wait for a while. How can I calm down? Why did she come down with such a high fever? Isn't this caused by the experiment you performed last week? Rika is just a little girl, you know. She cares about her friend, so she's doing what she can for the sick girl. I understand. There's no way our research would affect Rika-san negatively. Besides, we're being extremely careful so that something like that won't happen. Then explain this high fever. This high fever would never happen otherwise. It's probably due to the change in season's end. How could this be a simple cold? This is because of the weird shot you gave her. Dr. Irie only told me to calm down and refused to accept responsibility. My husband told me this is all for the sake of the village, and that's why I've held back my doubts until now. But I'm at my limit. Their existence has been suspicious from the beginning. They're conducting their research in secret, using a privacy policy as an excuse. That was shady enough on its own. It's just impossible. In fact, I called the Ministry of Health and was told that wasn't true at all. Even after I told them I'm Rika Furude's mother. The clinic even came up with stupid excuses, saying normal workers often don't know of a special institute like theirs. That doesn't make sense at all. It's much, much too suspicious. Also, there are people who don't appear to be researchers working at the institute. They look like security guards, but they seem so different from normal guards at a normal hospital. In fact, one time I accidentally saw that they were armed with guns. And at this time, I believe guns were illegal, so as well. Are they policemen? I don't think so. Who are you all anyway? I refuse to believe you're from the Ministry of Health. Dr. Irie seems taken aback by my intensity and can't even answer properly. They're still hiding a lot more from us. That tells me the research they're working on with Rika isn't anything proper. Anyway, I'm Rika's guardian. Rika is still a child. It doesn't matter what she says. I won't let her participate in this research anymore. My, it's Rika-chan's mother. Hello. Oh, what's the matter? Is everything okay? Ah, well. Rika-chan's mother says she won't let Rika-chan participate in the research any longer. Why is that? Because she's not your guinea pig. We've never treated her that way. You're misunderstanding us. I'm a little startled. Dr. Irie is a weak person who backs down under pressure. Takano-san is different. I'm yelling at her, but she's not afraid at all. On the contrary, she's glaring daggers and looks as if she's about to jump on me. Rika-chan's fever is caused by a cold. We didn't cause it. When it comes to safety and sanitation, we pay the same level of attention as a national research center. I don't mean to be rude, but considering you walk around while holding Rika-chan's hands without disinfecting yours with alcohol first, we are far more sanitary. We're not talking about that. Anyhow, Rika isn't your toy. She'll never come back here again. You can't decide that by yourself. You and your husband both signed the statement of consent, didn't you? We have been depositing money that's by no means a small amount into your account every single month for her cooperation in the research. What? I know nothing about any money. I've never even heard of that before. Rika receiving money for participating in their research really is news to me. Knowing my husband's character, he wouldn't have used it as spending money behind my back. I bet he thought of it as a free service for the villagers and completely forgot about the money being deposited into our account. And she didn't see this money at all either? Oh. There haven't been any strange deposits in the regular account, so it may be in our savings, which I don't look at all. Anyway, I don't care about that. If you want to breach our contract, we'll have to ask you to return the full amount of deposits we've made up until this point. Also, if one party is at fault for the breach of contract... Takano-san, please calm down. Mrs. Furude, you too. Just as I explained to you before, we must find a cure for Hinamizawa syndrome, so the villagers can continue to live without worries. For that reason, we need to have Rika-san to continue to participate. Then tell me, when are you going to find a cure? It doesn't make sense. At first, you said this was for Rika's friend, Satoko-chan, but Satoko-chan has been released from the clinic and is now carrying on happily. You even told my husband 2 weeks ago that you found a cure already, didn't you? Yes, I think I told him something like that. But, you see, to solve the mysteries of the syndrome... Interruption! You didn't mention anything about solving mysteries at the beginning. Rika was to participate to find a cure for the villagers. So now her job is done. All the research and experiments you're performing on Rika have nothing to do with the cure. You're doing them out of your own self-interest. Aren't I right? That's not true. It really isn't. Anyway, this matter of Rika-san's cold is just a misunderstanding. If you still don't trust us, then... That's enough. Since money is involved here, I'll have to discuss it with my husband. Excuse me. They were just too shady from the very start. Because of their exaggerated story, Rika and my husband took their side, but it won't work on me. I'm paranoid now. And I must settle with them right away. Because Rika isn't their toy. I especially don't trust that woman called Takano. Dr. Irie seems to me like he's still a doctor, but she doesn't. How can I describe her? I guess I can say the glow in her eyes is just unpleasant. She only sees Rika as a guinea pig. I can feel cruelty emitting from her. Neither my husband nor Rika have noticed that. I must protect her. As a mother, I must protect Rika. The abusive mother. That's not like you, Takano-san. Getting into an argument with her would only make things more complicated. It's so unlike you. I know. Sorry for losing my cool. Did something happen to put her in a bad mood, Irie wondered? The heated conversation she just had didn't involve the Takano he knew. Alright, with that, I think we've unlocked 2 or 3 of them. Which is good, because I'm pretty sure, based on my notes... Yeah, that's literally all I had, was... And then leads to other stuff, like this right here. Oh, no, wait. The execution order hasn't been declared. That's about to happen. What is it? The 3rd sacrifice. Being marked and suspicion. Yep, there it is. I think. Suspicion, yes. 3rd year's curse is required, which is probably that, plus that, I think. Yep, here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the one I want to do next. High fever and slight fever. Takano-san always comes along with me whenever I go to take pictures on a stroll. She might have discovered the joy of cameras, and I'm happy to gain a friend who shares the same hobby. However, there's actually something else she's much more interested in. Folklore. She frequently visited libraries and local archives to read through various documents and books, and when it comes to Hinamizawa, she's gained quite extensive knowledge of the local history. When she's in a good mood, she tells me about things like how Hinamizawa used to be called Onikufuchi Village, and how the villagers there used to perform various cruel ceremonies based around the worship of Higurashi-sama. It seemed she loved tales of violence, and that actually gave her a mysterious charm. On the other hand, I don't do well with grotesque things, so I can hardly say anything in response. The stories of cruel ceremonies that she gets excited about, I don't really get them all that well. However, with the way her eyes light up when she talks, I don't mind spending time with her even if I have to hear about cruel things. You sure like looking into that stuff, don't you? Sure, it's fun. It's thrilling to unravel a dark past that has been sealed away, don't you think so? Takano-san smiled in a way that almost made it sound like a dark past is something fun. But of course, it isn't. The dark history of Hinamizawa that she loves is something cruel and atrocious, like the witch hunts in the Middle Ages. Besides, they help me in researching Hinamizawa syndrome. You don't have to always look through microscopes to research things. Sometimes the traditions of this village that have spent so long with the parasite can teach us things that are far more valuable. That's true. Boy, you sure are passionate about this. That's because research gives my life meaning. To step into the unknown and to uncover a secret that nobody else knows. Don't you think that's wonderful? It tickles my intellectual curiosity. That's probably the greatest entertainment available to humans, who can feel joy just from thinking. The first person to work on this, Dr. Takano, must have discovered something fascinating enough to make him devote his entire life to the researching of the syndrome too. I think I'm probably the only one who could understand his feelings. I suppose it would be too difficult for you, Jiro-san, since you're not a researcher. She always seems so enthusiastic every time she talks about the late Dr. Takano, an independent researcher who was the first person to discover the existence of the syndrome. There has to be something more there than just her admiration as a researcher. Come to think of it, Dr. Takano's full name was Hifumi Takano. Takano-san's full name is Mio Takano. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not only their last names... Oh wait. Hifumi. Oh yeah. Not only their last names pronounced the same, but their first names follow a similar pattern. They must be connected somehow. I don't know anything about Takano-san's personal history, but there's a good chance that her name is an alias. So it's very possible she chose a name to reflect the researcher she admires. I see. So is that why you chose that name? What? Well, the name of the researcher you look up to is Hifumi Takano, right? And your name is Mio. In Japanese, it's like you're counting upwards. You're continuing the research he wasn't able to complete, so I thought maybe that's why you have that name. Who told you that? Huh? No. I just thought of that now. I didn't hear it from anybody. You're correct. I'm surprised you figured it out, since you're so dense. I know you admire Dr. Takano, and sometimes you've spoken as if you were his daughter or granddaughter, who inherited his research legitimately. That's why I said that. Even authors like Rampo Edogawa used their pen names as homages towards authors they admired as well. So I thought maybe the name you use is like your pen name, you know? No, that's not so. Mio Takano is my real name. You write my family name differently, though. Eh? Then it really is the exact same family name as Dr. Takano? That's even more of a surprise. And Mio is your real name, too. Mio Takano continuing Hifumi Takano's life work. What a fateful coincidence. You're overstating it, Jiro-san. This isn't fate of any kind. He's my grandfather. What? This is news to me. I heard Takano-san discovered documents about the Hinamizawa syndrome left by Dr. Takano after his death and decided to continue his research. I've never heard of them being related before. Someone told me it'd leave a bad impression if I asked for money to continue my grandfather's research, that people may think I'm trying to pull funds for a family matter. That's why I changed one of the characters in my last name. So other than Uncle Koizumi, you're the first person I've told this to. I see. I didn't know. So that's why you're so passionate about all this. I understand very clearly now. She really did inherit the work her grandfather was unable to complete. My grandfather researched Hinamizawa syndrome not only from a medical point of view, but through old documents and literature as well. Looking through the old stories of a village that has been living with the syndrome for hundreds of years can be far more valuable than looking through microscopes that magnify things hundreds of times. My grandfather taught me that. I see. I'm sure your grandfather is happy that you're finishing the work he couldn't. I bet he's really proud of you. I hope so. I said something Takano-san would normally tease me about, but she didn't. She nodded and smiled. There's no mistake. She is indeed the granddaughter of Dr. Takano. My grandfather is Hifumi, which means 1, 2, 3. And I'm Mio, which means 3, 4. Following after my grandfather, we have only counted 3 together. And counted the 4 after my grandfather. We must reach the 5 neither me nor my grandfather has seen yet. Level 5. That is my duty and the reason I was born. So that's why your name is Mio, huh? I think that's a beautiful name. Thank you. But please keep the granddaughter issue to yourself. My clients don't even know. I don't want any unnecessary problems from them finding out about it. Sure, okay. This is a secret between you and me, huh? Although it's only a small secret, it feels good to think that I'm the only one who knows about it. I've only counted to 3. I haven't even reached 4 yet. The path before me is long and rough, but I'll do it. I'll expose the secrets of Hinamizawa syndrome. I'll support you. That's my job in the first place, isn't it? Jeez. You'd sound pretty cool if you didn't tack on things like that. You only need to say that you'll support me, you know? Okay, I'll support you. It's too late. You're not cool if you can't get it right the first time. We laughed cheerfully together, and after we finished laughing, she became serious again, and spoke as if to drive the point home. So remember, Jiro-san, don't tell anybody that I'm his granddaughter, okay? Okay, I promise. It's not a bad thing, but I don't want the clients to cut our funding because of that. I don't think they will. Besides, I won't tell a soul. And he really didn't. Are you sure? Are you really, really sure? This research is the entire purpose of my life. My mission is to complete my grandfather's work, to prove that his trampled research is actually something amazing that will shock the world and to make everyone praise my grandfather who is perishing away under the earth, eventually having him ascend as a god. Boy, I sure hope this doesn't come back to me, says Jiro. That's the meaning and purpose of my life. Jiro-san, if you say something that creates problems for my research, don't worry. I'll forget everything you told me here. Really, I mean it. I won't say anything. I promise. I won't say anything. Are you sure, Jiro-san? I sensed something frightening within her for a moment. Afraid that she would end up possessed by it, I swore to keep the promise. Her intellectual curiosity as a researcher, and her conviction to complete her grandfather's work, are what stirs her passion for researching Hinamizawa syndrome. I think there's one more reason, but it's far too deep. And it's within a wound in her heart that someone like me should never touch. But earlier, she said, if you create problems for my research, I wonder what she wanted to say after that. I can't help thinking she wanted to say something terrifyingly merciless. I kept my promise with her, and we never talked about the issue again after that. Starting to reach the end of the 3rd year. Because I think that's all that's left out of these, because I don't think we got anything big, quote unquote, for this, because that's not there. That's not there. This is not there. Ren Ryu is not there yet. Same with this. He's definitely not there. Formation of the club, that requires their deaths. I assume they move right around, what is it, a while. Or slightly after the 3rd year, so we are at the 3rd year finally. So what have we got? 3rd sacrifice. Opportunist and Mother's suspicion. And then over here is the death, which is execution order. Alright, we gotta start with this then. The situation has changed. Rika's father suddenly changed his mind about having her help out with the research. Oh, wow. When Rika came down with a high fever the other day, her mother, who wasn't happy about her daughter helping in the first place, finally blew up. I was hoping the father would convince her somehow. But now, he seems to be on her side. Rika's father didn't get emotional like her mother, but he demanded that we make our research plans for Rika clear, and that we finish our research within 3 months at most, which was completely unrealistic. Research can't have a deadline. That's out of the question. We cultivate results by grinding down our knowledge, skills, and time. To take time away from us is like taking away what's vital to live. How could he say such a thing? Curses, 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 curses. Curse. Rika's parents are only saying that because they don't know anything about scientific research. However, as they are the parents of the Queen Carrier, we are completely lost about what to do. Tests and experiments on the Queen Carrier are an essential part of our research into Hinamizawa syndrome. Her existence is the focal point of our work. To lose her would be like losing your sense of direction out in open water. Rika is providing her cooperation with our research, but the withdrawal her guardian's research could be a setback. The situation is extremely dire. Rika's parents are only interested in finding a cure, but to me, the cure is only a small part of solving the mystery. I can't let her go. Are our differences causing this predicament? And it's not only them. The same is happening between Irie and me. He thinks it's inevitable that we'd need to stop the research if Rika's parents refuse to consent. That's understandable. From the beginning, Irie never had the determination to solve the mysteries of Hinamizawa syndrome. He won't back down from the research assertively, but he will passively by agreeing with Rika's parents. Is that the attitude of a researcher who's trying to unravel mysteries? He's the type of man who would step on my grandfather's research with his dirty feet. Everyone is. He's nothing but a coward who's in this half-heartedly. He started to feel guilty over his past the moment he saw blood. He isn't qualified to even be involved in researching Hinamizawa syndrome. He's simply an outsider who joined in because of the client's demands. If I were a man, he wouldn't be here in the first place. Doubt. While it's true he produced wonderful results with his development of a cure, he seems to think it's all right to close up shop with that. Is he planning to waste everything by being satisfied with just that tiny result? That man doesn't have any right to discard my grandfather's research. I can feel my guts boiling. No. Ari isn't the main person at fault. The one to blame here is that woman, Rika's mother. If she wasn't so selfish, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe it's partly my fault. I maintained trust through relationships and obligations all this time. But somehow, Rika's mother and I didn't get along, so I didn't try to socialize with her. I thought it was fine because I got along with Rika and her father. But now, the mother has influenced the father and changed his decision. What negligence. What a reversal. What a blunder. Ari is saying we should talk to the office in Tokyo about what to do next. But I know once the Tokyo office finds out about this, they'll order us to shut down the research. I've worked so hard to even get things started. If they hear anything negative, they'll put a stop to it. I've come too far to complete my grandfather's research. I can't let it be stopped. I still have a little time to think about this. I need to calm down and analyze this carefully. I've always come up with a great plan when I drink my favorite tea and bite my nails like this. I looked up at the ceiling and closed my eyes, as tenderly as possible. There were times where I couldn't find a solution, but someone else came up with a simple one. I've been able to overcome everything that's been thrown at me. I even endured the hell at that orphanage, so I'll never let that woman get in the way. Settle your thoughts down. Think about this clearly. Be calm, Mio-Takano. Someone else may come up with a better idea, but who? It's not me. It can't be Irie. Of course, nobody from the village will do. Do I talk to someone in Tokyo? No, I can't. I don't want to owe anyone a favor. Even Koizumi-sensei would be disgusted if he finds out I can't solve such a simple matter by myself. Oh my god. So she chose the easy way out. Ah, I know. There's someone I can talk to nearby. They're supposed to be my subordinates after all, so it's worth the try. I called the leader of the mountain dogs, Okanogi. The mountain dogs are my subordinates, but they're part of the self-defense force, and I'm just a researcher. So we never really had a chance to interact. He did what he was supposed to, and I did what I was supposed to. So I never even thought of discussing anything with him. But the mountain dogs are there to protect and support our research. Why didn't I think of talking to him before? What a difficult situation. He used to speak standard Japanese, but now he has the Hinamizu accent. I guess fitting into the region is the first thing they need to do. We may lose the Queen Carrier, and not only that, but her mother might end up exposing our secrets. Can you do something about it? I asked Okunogi rather directly. I'm not really expecting an answer. But... Understood. The mountain dogs will take care of it. Just give us a little time, and we'll do a clean job. Take care of it? We'll make sure the police won't get involved. We need a little time to prep, but it won't be difficult. I'm startled. Rika's mother is my enemy, but I was thinking about how I could convince her. You didn't even think about it. You could have talked to her and explained how research works. But the leader of the mountain dogs, the counterintelligence unit whose duty is to protect this secret research, came up with a much simpler plan. Do you mean to kill her? To preserve the secret, I was told to do whatever is necessary. Of course, we won't do anything until we get an order. Right. This is a very simple problem to him. Rika's mother has started to interfere with our research. Not only that, there's a chance she might talk to people about the Institute, so they'll eliminate her. Ah, that sounds like a good idea. Can you do a good job of it? That's why we're here. This will be our biggest job since the kidnapping of the minister's grandson. Ah, I remember now. The mountain dogs are the ones who kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and used that to blackmail him. It's been a few years, so I completely forgot about that. They did such a marvelous job then. That's right. I have the mountain dogs on my side. Can you get on with it right away? We could easily kill her, even tonight. But that'd create too much of a fuss. We'll make it look like she disappeared. So give us a little time to make some arrangements. Just like a cat's eyes under a bright light, I can feel something in the back of my eyes open up. Up until now, I'd been racking my brain trying to figure out how to make her my ally, or at least make her surrender or pacify her. Yet, one order to this man, the problem's easily solved. I feel like a bird taking its first flight. Ah, how easily I can get rid of that annoying mother. All I have to do is give an order. I feel grateful to Koizumi-sensei for giving me such terrific subordinates. Be right back. Gotta take care of the cat. And by take care of, I don't mean that one. Alright, taken care of. What a wonderful power he has given me. I was taught that all people are equal. But if I have the power to control people's lives, then that means I'm more important than they are. What a feeling it is to be above others. So did you just want Rika Furude's mother to disappear? Huh? Well, wait a minute. Does he mean only Rika Furude's mother? I can feel chills all over my body. If possible, maybe I should have her father disappear too. Rika is willing to help. She has no other relatives in the Furude family. If both parents die, she has to depend on someone. The Erie Institute can support her. We can give her status, money, and protection. We can give her everything. By doing so, maybe it's possible to make her one of us, rather than just having her as a helper. All my worries are melting away. Everything I was just concerned about seems like a joke now. I had such powerful subordinates all this time, yet I never realized. All of my tension is being released, and I'm starting to feel relaxed. I can feel myself regaining my cool head. I'm going to get rid of them. Rika's parents, that is. The Queen Carrier is my guinea pig. A guinea pig doesn't need parents. That's right. It's almost time for the Watanagashi festival. If they die on that day, people will call it the Curse of Yashua-sama. The murder case from 2 years ago and the accident from last year are two separate incidents, yet because they happened on the day of Watanagashi, they're being called the Curse of Yashua-sama. Then, if her parents' deaths occur on this year's Watanagashi, it'll be Oyasho-sama's curse 3 years in a row. 1, 2, 3. The miracle of Oyasho-sama. Also the curse. I'm going to create them. This is a chance for me to ascend to godhood and toy with human fate. The incidents that occurred 2 years in a row are said to be a curse, but not everyone believes that. However, if it happens 3 years in a row, then everyone has to believe, because that'll be a true curse that's created by me. I'll become Oyasho-sama. My desire for revenge against God is coming together. Making her merely disappear isn't that fun, is it? When I started to laugh, Okunogi grinned to show his interest. We're going to create the curse of Oyasho-sama. I can't just let her die. She'll be demoned away, and I'm going to enjoy dissecting her alive. Of course, I won't just have fun. This will be extremely useful for our research. After all, she's the previous queen carrier. Oh, jeez. What is this one again? 3rd year's curse hasn't happened yet. So that's probably this one. Execution order and declaration of war. Yes. Deep down, I was prepared for something to happen tonight once again. Oh, it's Oishi. The first year, the workers were stirred into a frenzy, killing and dismembering the old man. In the second year, the Hojo couple were killed through a fake accident. Since the dam protests, only people who have been hated by the villagers died on the day of Watanagashi. Some people in the village were calling the incidents the curse of Oyasho-sama. Now that the dam protests are over, there would be no meaning in the village's enemies being killed on the night of the festival, I thought. If that was true, then there were still some enemies left over. I thought that perhaps that would happen again on the night of the festival 3 years in a row. My hunch was right. At first, however, it looked so natural that I didn't think anything of it. The festival was nearing its end, and the village officials were gathered under the main tent. They opened their beers and enjoyed the leftover corn and braised cow tripe from the refreshment stands. Ugh, tripe. Way too chewy for me. I was in the main tent too, being entertained by the villagers. So I was actually there at the scene of the 3rd year's incident when it happened. Yet, I didn't notice anything at the beginning. Hey, Furude-san, what's the matter? Are you feeling sick? Most of the older folks in the village were heavy drinkers, but a few were lightweights too. The priest was one of the latter. The priest was a representative as well as a host during the Watanagashi festival. So every time visitors and guests arrived, he greeted them, and each time he was offered a drink. So by the night's end, he was pretty worn out. Jeez. That's why I didn't think anything of it to see the priest sitting by himself in a folding chair. The mayor, Kimiyoshi, was the one to tap his shoulder and ask him if he was all right. Are you okay? You drank too much, didn't you? Huh? Did your chest hurt? Sorry, I think I'm a little tired. Huh? Didn't you have heart trouble before? Getting sudden pains isn't a good sign. Dr. Irie! Dr. Irie! What's wrong? Is it your chest? That's not good. Oh. When I saw what was going on, I noticed he was covered in a terrible sweat and was definitely not relaxing in his chair and enjoying the cool evening breeze. His face had a sickly pallor, and I thought he should lie down immediately. I should probably take you to the clinic. Are you okay? Can you hold on to my shoulder? Hey, somebody help! The priest doesn't feel well. What's wrong with my husband? Dear, are you alright? Takano-san, perfect timing. The priest doesn't feel well, so I'm going to take him to the clinic. Could you please have the car come around here? Sure, no problem. So the priest and his wife headed to the clinic with Dr. Irie. I don't know about young people, but the elderly know their own bodies well. They almost never push themselves to the point where they start feeling ill. Especially someone like the priest. It was hard to imagine him drinking himself sick. The cumulative experience of my years was telling me something. I headed to the Irie clinic just in case. I tried to follow their car, but because the festival was almost over, and all the stands were closing up, there was a lot of traffic going in and out, making it almost impossible for me to leave the temporary parking lot. More than 20 minutes had passed since the priest was carried in by the time I arrived at the clinic. 20 minutes. If it hadn't taken me 20 minutes, my involvement in this year's incident would have been quite different. I regretted not leaving on foot the moment I realized how hard it was to get my car out. All I get to do now is jot down the facts. Because between the time the priest left the festival and the time I arrived at the clinic, during those 20 minutes, this year's curse had taken place. The priest's condition changed for the worse right after he arrived at the clinic. He died. The autopsy results say it was heart failure, but how can I accept that? I don't think the priest was having health problems, and everyone was taken by surprise by the sudden event. Moreover, the wife of the priest disappeared too. According to the clinic staff, she was with him right after he died, but she's nowhere to be seen now. Of course, she's not at home either. Maybe someone poisoned the priest. During the dam conflict, the priest was frowned upon for his remarks. He said there was no need to make a big fuss, because the dam project would be cancelled anyway. The older villagers liked to hold grudges, and hadn't forgotten that, so even I had heard word of them talking about how the priest wasn't fit for the shrine to Oyashiro-sama. I called for backup and had them go search for the missing wife. With last year's fallen couple incident as precedent, it was easy to believe both wife and husband could become victims. The village's youth group got organized and searched from the village to the mountains, and as a result, we found a set of sandals and a will by the edge of the Onifuji swamp. The will said something about her husband's death was the curse of Oyashiro-sama, and she was throwing herself in the swamp to calm the god's anger. In other words, she committed suicide by jumping into the swamp. Legends say that the swamp is bottomless and is connected directly to hell. Once you sink, you'll never come back. Divers from the police department searched the swamp, but her body was nowhere to be found. The past two mysterious incidents were solved individually, just as the higher-ups say, but something is odd about this year's mysterious death. The ill priest was carried to the clinic. His wife accompanied him. Within 20 minutes, the priest died of heart failure, and the wife either committed suicide or disappeared. The death of the priest may really have been a fatal heart attack. But for his wife to assume that it was the curse, and to commit suicide by jumping into the swamp, for all that to happen in 20 minutes just doesn't seem natural. The Furude family has no relatives. Even if she was a true believer in Oyashiro-sama, how could she commit suicide while leaving behind her one and only daughter? Yeah, she should have brought her daughter in with her. Eri is hiding something too, but he's just a village doctor, which means he's nothing more than their pawn. If this is all a conspiracy to assassinate the priest, then there's someone who's pulling the strings. I had been starting to think that trying to tie the past two incidents to the village so forcefully was a bit overbearing of me, but this incident was enough to convince me that this series of cases involving mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa were all grounded in one intention. This incident has countless numbers of discrepancies, but someone from the village seems to be putting pressure on high command. And just like the past incidents, this one will be treated as an individual case and end up being forgotten. Since it happened 3 years in a row, everyone in the village will say it's the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I think that's the culprit's goal. After the war, belief in Oyashiro-sama became antiquated. Is someone committing these murders as a ritual to restore that god's dignity? The one pulling the strings must be the Sonozaki family. A few months passed. Oryo Sonozaki said something like, it was natural for that priest to be cursed by Oyashiro-sama, and so the priest's case was lumped together with the mysterious Hinamizawa's deaths, otherwise known as Oyashiro-sama's curse. At first, I simply wanted to avenge the old man, but now that case had grown into an abnormal one, centered on the village's faith. Damn it, the old man's killer is human. I won't let it be pushed off onto some nonsense curse. That ends that fragment, which means I think we move on to the sacrifice or whatever page, the red capsule. Wow, we almost have a whole page done. on a lot of them. The strange medicine that I can hardly remember was a capsule. Or maybe it was an oval tablet. It was so red, it must have been a capsule. I can't imagine a tablet in that color. It must have been a capsule. I think it was a little bigger than a normal one. I think. I think. I can't remember. Although I can hardly remember, if I see that medicine again, it'll refresh my memory. That medicine strips away humanity. It takes away a human soul, memory, emotion, and it numbs the human body. There are no thoughts, no interests, no will to stay awake or asleep. There's no sense of time. Sometimes a second can feel like an eternity, and other times I can almost see an hour hand move. Either way, there's no emotion involved. I can't feel any emotion. Oh, isn't this Rena? The medicine only lets me stay in bed and look up at the ceiling. Only the people who have taken it can understand this misery. What's more scary is that, while I'm on the medication, I don't realize how scary it is. I'm given the medication daily. I keep losing all my senses. So, when the medicine wore off by accident, I realized I should never take it again. That's right. This isn't medicine that will heal me. It's just going to kill me slowly. If I continued to take this medicine, I probably wouldn't be able to tell if I was dead or alive. I would end up losing myself forever. I'll keep looking up at the ceiling without any emotions and keep watching the clock tick forever. If I take the medicine again, I'll lose all the senses I finally regained. I may never be able to bring myself back again. Since the day I realized that, I've been pretending to take the medicine, but throwing it away instead. If your doctor prescribes medication, you have to finish taking it, even if your symptoms are gone. I can hear my mother's voice. Any time I went to the doctor's office when I was a child, my mother said that to me. I usually got well before I finished all the medicine, so I didn't finish taking the rest. That's why my mother said that. But this is a different type of medicine. I don't even remember how old I was when my mother said that, but with this strange capsule in front of me, I have to try and get rid of my mother's voice from inside my head. I pressed down on my head with my elbows until it hurt, trying to get rid of what my mother kept telling me. Right. As my head clears, I start to remember the ugly side of my mother. My mother betrayed her family. She betrayed me and my father, who waited for her at home with dinner on the table. She told us she was busy with work, but she was having an affair. That was bad enough, but she asked my father for a divorce after he took such good care of her for so many years. But there's something else I can't forgive her for. She invited only me to meet with her new family. Not my father, just me. My father and I are family. Family means being together. Yet my mother tried to destroy the bond between my father and me. Not only had she destroyed her bond with him, she tried to destroy my bond with him too. When I remember, it makes me feel angry and hateful, and I can't forgive her. The back of my eyes started to hurt, and I could feel the hatred on my face. That overflowing animosity is aimed not only at my mother, but also the man she had an affair with. Uncle Akihito. I didn't like him teasing me, but he gave me an allowance and tried to have fun with me. I liked him very much, but his niceness was all calculated. He wanted to destroy the family bonds between my mother, my father, and me. That's why I shouldn't have said I liked him very much. That's right. I'm starting to remember and understand. I now know my true enemy. It was his fault that my mother started to have an affair, because my mother was a very good mother. He was the one who made her a bad one, so he's the one who deserves the blame. When was the first time I met him? I think it was the time when my mother and I went out and had lunch at a restaurant. She introduced him as one of her colleagues from work. At that time, if I think about that first meeting, I think I felt something wasn't right with the way my mother acted around him. That's right, I did. I did think something was wrong. It didn't feel right. I wish I had trusted my instincts then. I was a fool to think he was a nice person just because he gave me a strawberry from his piece of cake. It was not my father's fault, because I bet he never met Uncle Akihito. But I have. I've met him many times, and there were a lot of chances to realize he was my enemy. If I had a strong enough will to protect my happiness, I could have noticed that. I can't forget how my father looked on that day. My father, who was so nice and gentle, grabbed his knees so tightly, and cried so hard. He asked me if I knew Uncle Akihito. I answered yes. Then he slapped me in the face. When he slapped me, I finally realized how stupid I was for being taken in by him. That's right, it was my fault. I destroyed the happiness I had hoped to last forever with my own hands. If I hadn't been that stupid, my father wouldn't have had to cry like that, and my mother would have stayed good. If I wasn't that stupid. It was my fault. I can't forgive my mother and Uncle Akihito. Even when I hate him this much, I still call him Uncle, and I can't forgive myself for that. It was my fault. Everything was my fault. I was too stupid and foolish, and that's why this happened. I hate her. I'm sad. I'm frustrated. I can't stop being angry. If my mother ever came back to this house, I would rip her apart with my hands. But she never came back. My anger turned towards everything that my mother left in the house. I destroyed every relic my mother left behind, one after another. I threw and smashed everything, but that still didn't calm me down. Even after I turned the whole house upside down, I still couldn't calm my anger. Where does my anger gather? It starts from inside me, goes through my arms, to my fingertips, and spurts from my nails. Where else can it go? So my nails aim at my own body. My body is the filthiest and most disgusting thing of all. I'm the one to be blamed. No. I'm not to blame. My mother's most at fault. My mother's the most corrupt. My body and soul feel filthy. I wanted to stain myself black and slice the remaining flesh into pieces. And one day, I finally realized. Maggots. I'm rotten. I'm rotten from the inside. Come on, rot more. But it's indescribably itchy. It's itchy, 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 itchy. I stabbed my thigh with a razor blade in the bathroom. Oh, jeez. The blood flowed out. Reddish-black maggots spilled out. I forced myself to open my blood vessels with my thumbs. Ugh. The maggots spilled out. Squirm, 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 squirm. Squirm, 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 squirm. Squirm, 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 squirm. So many maggots spilled out from my left thigh. The maggots aren't even the part that gets me. It's the description of the blood. My right thigh must have the same amount of maggots in its blood vessels. Maybe my calves too. My arms, abdomen, chest. No. How many maggots are there in the blood vessels in my neck? Strangely, although I've become rather insane, there's still a part of me that's calm. If I keep ripping myself apart like this, I'll end up dead. But everything is my fault, and I'm the one to be blamed. Even if I blame my mother, the only way I can disgrace her is with my own body. Oh, I get it now. That's the best means for quelling my anger. I feel like I'm thinking incredibly rationally now. In order to forgive myself, I need someone else to blame. It has to be someone else's fault. But no such person exists. No matter how much I think about it or twist the logic, my own body is my only outlet to vent this anger. So long as there's no one else to blame, I'll be forced to rip open every blood vessel in my body. Just like no matter how much I scratch, it still itches no matter how much I rip apart my own body. It's not enough. The blood is all over the bathroom, and I'm sure it makes for quite the gruesome scene. Although I'm trying to stay calm, I can't ignore the sharp pain that runs through my body. Maybe because I've lost so much blood, or maybe because I'm naked in the bathroom. I feel freezing cold. My whole body is throbbing, and my heart is beating so fast. I'm cold and hot at the same time. I'm also sad, angry, and in pain. I want to find something that lets me forgive myself. Then, it came. It came in a heavenly light. It was mysterious and unreal, like something out of this world. It apologized. It kept apologizing. Why is it apologizing? You apologize when you're at fault. So this thing I just met for the first time was admitting to wronging me. That means I'm not at fault. It's at fault, not me. I dropped the razor blade. It fell into the puddle of blood. The pain is taking over my body. The pain of ripping apart my own body is taking over me. I've been telling myself this pain is the punishment for what I've done. But I'm not at fault. It is. So I don't need to accept that this pain is a punishment. So I don't need to defile my body anymore. She continued apologizing to me over and over as I stood there covered in fresh blood. She apologized every time I wanted to blame myself, constantly whispering that it wasn't my fault. Oyasho-sama exists. She's always following me. Slap, 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 slap. And every time I can't endure the guilt, she apologizes and tells me I'm not at fault. Everything is caused by the curse of Oyasho-sama. Things started to go wrong when I broke the rule that I wasn't supposed to leave Hinamizawa. I finally remember. When I moved from Hinamizawa, one of my neighbors gave me a charm. She said that if I left Hinamizawa, I'd be cursed, so I had to take the charm. That's right, she gave me a charm. It had some complicated writing on it, but I haven't seen it since I moved here. I may have lost it. There's nothing I can do about that. If Hinamizawa residents leave Hinamizawa, they'll be cursed. My mother and I, even Uncle Akihito too, may have gone insane because of the curse of Oyasho-sama. Nobody was at fault from the beginning, because everything is caused by the curse of Oyasho-sama. Nobody's at fault. Nobody. Nobody. I'm finally able to forgive everything. The anger that I couldn't get rid of, even after I destroyed everything, including my body and soul, is finally gone. Father, now I know. The curse of Oyasho-sama is what caused my mother to leave, and for you to be so sad. You remember Oyasho-sama, don't you? The guardian deity of Hinamizawa. That's right. People of Hinamizawa aren't supposed to go to the outside world. That's why Mother went insane. It's all because of the curse of Oyasho-sama. If we had stayed in Hinamizawa, we would have been happy. Oyasho-sama came to me and told me that. Come to think of it, Oyasho-sama has been trying to tell me that for a long time. After Mother left, I didn't know why she left or how to express my anger. Oyasho-sama has kept following me ever since then to let me know that. She followed me everywhere, the sound of her footsteps echoing behind me, but I pretended I didn't notice her. I was so stupid. I didn't hear her voice until I slashed my body all over. If only I had listened to Oyasho-sama's voice. I bet she started warning me once Uncle Akihito came into my life. If the whole family had gone back to Hinamizawa, my mother wouldn't have had an affair. We would have been happy there. I bet Oyasho-sama has been trying to tell me that. That's right. She must have been trying to warn me ever since we left Hinamizawa. She was always with me. She followed me everywhere. I was stupid, trying to pretend I didn't notice. Everything was because of that stupidity. If I had noticed Oyasho-sama's voice, my family wouldn't have suffered from the curse. It's all my fault. Ah, Oyasho-sama is apologizing. She keeps apologizing, which means this is all her fault. So this isn't my fault, is it? Because this is the curse of Oyasho-sama, right? She's apologizing, saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Oyasho-sama is apologizing repeatedly. So I'm sorry too. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry that I didn't hear your voice. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. We're from Hinamizawa, so we have to keep hearing your voice. Oyasho-sama definitely exists. Can't you hear, Father? Don't you see? Oyasho-sama's right there apologizing, saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. Come on, Father. Let's apologize too. Mother, you don't have to apologize. You should die because of the curse. I hate you, Mother. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. I hate myself for being your daughter. These maggots are your fault. They make me itch everywhere. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. No. I don't want that medicine. My mother got it to kill me, so I don't want it. I won't take it. I told you I won't take it. Stop. This is a curse, so you can't fix it with medicine. It won't get rid of the maggots, because this is a curse. No, I don't want a shot either. Stop. It hurts. Everything is falling into a gray world. The voices of my father and the doctor sound so far away. Even what just happened seemed like it happened a long time ago. Again, I'm given the capsule, and even my memory from a minute ago is gone. I'm back in my bed, staring at the ceiling. And what I can see, the only thing that interests me is the hands on the clock. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I follow the minute hand as it goes around quickly, and the hour hand as it goes around slowly. I see other things too, but they keep going through the same motions, just like the hand on the clock. I'm sorry, it's my fault, I'm sorry. Oyasho-sama keeps apologizing. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I'm sorry. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I'm sorry. Repeating over and over, constantly, and nothing else. The chorus of Higurashi coming in through the window during the night seems louder than usual. This opened up like 3 or 4 of them, I believe. First of all, her coming to Hinamizawa. Her introduction, quote unquote, I believe it is. Let's just check here. So that's the curse of the 4th year. That's the curse of the 4th year. Death of Koizumi, no. Completion of the medicine, no. Let's see. Bottle of wine for a toast. His promise. I have that ready. I do have this ready now, so I should probably do that next. He doesn't have footsteps yet. His awareness of his sins. So these two will link together. I can already do this. I can also do this now. Oh, I can do this as well. I feel like this should be before his footsteps stuff. But anyway, first let's do her. So I didn't realize his promise was a different thing. But I should have everything here. Let me do a little save because it happened since we started. Connecting fragments again. Oh, a roll of 1. Should be able to do it now. Yep. It happened so suddenly. Uncle Koizumi passed away. I never heard he was ill or wasn't feeling well. His chest started to hurt suddenly and he couldn't sleep. He called an ambulance for the first time in his life because he didn't think he could endure the pain. He was taken into emergency care, but he didn't live to see morning. It was an acute myocardial infarction, but maybe it was the best possible way to go. Instead of being in bed for many years, slowly dilapidating and withering away, he was healthy until his death, so I think he must have lived a wonderful life. But still, it was too sudden. I wish I had called him Uncle more. It was too late. It's too late, though. Uncle Koizumi would never smile at me again, with his wrinkly old face, no matter how many times I called for him. He was my guardian until now. He always looked after me, making sure my efforts received proper recognition. Maybe he only did that because he couldn't help my grandfather when he was alive. But still, he was an important person to me. He wasn't just my political backing. But I didn't realize that when he was alive. I only thought of using his power for my own agenda. But after he died, I realized Uncle Koizumi was my grandpa too. He provided the warmth and protection that I longed for from my own grandfather. At his funeral, I shed tears that I thought I forgot how to. Uncle, thank you for everything. I should have called you Uncle more, huh? Ooh. No matter how many times I called to him, he would never reply. What I can do for him at this point is complete my research. I must accomplish my goal for his sake. When my grandfather's research is finally acknowledged, Uncle Koizumi's name will be known once again for being the sole supporter of his endeavor. I believe that's the best part to repay him for everything he has done. I vowed to devote myself to my work even more from this day on. But, unfortunately, hardships and sadness tend to come together. It was like the tailwind that blew steadily until today, suddenly became a headwind. The wind shifted far too suddenly. So strong, so cold, so sad. What? What are you talking about, Jiro-san? The research funding? Well, you know that Koizumi-sensei was the main political sponsor for the Area Institute, right? He had trouble getting approval from the related agencies, but Koizumi-sensei used his political weight to force it through. After all, he was one of the key figures in the post-war restoration, accomplishing tremendous deeds in the medical industry. He held a huge influence in politics and industry. So now that Koizumi-sensei is gone, the way he did things won't work any longer? So far, it's only a rumor, so I don't know for sure. But I heard they're going to reconsider the budget allocated for the project. Are you saying the Area Institute will be closed down? No, I haven't heard anything about them reconsidering the Institute. But since Koizumi-sensei's death, the rumors say that there is a great deal of confusion among the old guard and their factions, as well as the civil strife within the party around finding his successor. It seems the opposing factions are gaining influence in the human resources of our client. So they may begin to dig deep into the holy treasure chest that the Koizumi faction held to fund their project. Of course, this is all too complicated for me to explain that well, and besides, these might just be rumors. Jiro-san kept saying they were rumors, but that told me the wind's direction has changed. Or maybe Jiro-san already knows everything, and is simply trying to warn me about it. And then, at our next routine audit, Jiro-san made it clear with his own mouth. High-ranking government officials who had never come here before attended the routine audit along with Jiro-san. Just by seeing those faces, I can tell the turning point is approaching. As you know, the Alphabet Project was created to strengthen post-war Japan's presence in the world with the view of developing deterrent weaponry. However, the 21st century is now just around the corner. In this day and age, we must put the past behind us and start looking forward to a new world. He meant exactly what he said. Japan has already put the past behind, and it's cutting off its ties to the ghosts that wish to resurrect the militaristic might of the post-pre-war era. It's been 40 years since the end of the war, and we've contributed to the world in various peaceful ways. We have a strong alliance with the United States, and our nation has established its position in world affairs well enough. We have kept our promise to forever renounce war and nuclear weapons, and we're known as a nation of peace. In this coming century, our presence and influence will grow even larger. The Alphabet Project, the main sponsor of the Area Institute, are a group of people who want to develop a weapon that would act as a deterrent to the nuclear weapons which Japan is forbidden to own. So they come to the Area Institute, one of its branch organizations, to tell us Japan has now renounced nuclear arms. So the Area Institute will be facing a strong, cold headwind from now on. The roll of the die that came up with 1 on that stormy day has reappeared. I won't let the result of a die affect me. The power of my will won't be beaten by some god's roll of the dice. Therefore, we're going to restructure the Alphabet Project to one that's more suitable for the day and age. This new Alphabet Project will be tasked with figuring out the best way for this country to achieve a larger presence in world affairs, not through militaristic means, but through peaceful measures like international trade and economic development. All of the people who hold tremendous influence in the politics and economy of Japan were born before the war, so naturally they want to regain the glory of pre-war Japan. The very idea that we can win next time if we research the new bomb that defeated us is itself a specter of the war. No, everyone already realized that. It was just that no one could speak out against the grandstanding elders they owed their gratitude towards. Soon the old will wither away, and the new generation will take control. Uncle Koizumi was, in a way, the last remaining pillar for the old generation. His death is a chance for the new generation to step in. The things they couldn't argue openly are now being discussed. They point out that from the beginning, the Alphabet Project was created for the personal satisfaction of a small group of people, and it sucked money out of the treasury. And so, the new generation of politicians have taken over from the old. Therefore, everything the Alphabet Project was sponsoring will have to be re-reviewed. Of course, the Area Institute is one of those subsidiaries. We hope that you'll understand and respond amicably. I understand. We can't do research without our sponsors, after all. We'll give you our full cooperation. Arias responded appropriately, but he's obviously bewildered. The best equipment and staff are being provided to the Area Institute. In other words, our research requires a huge amount of money. For those with no interest in Hinamizo syndrome, they probably won't be able to understand why that much money is being put into the research of disgusting parasites. If they're simply going to revise our budget, that would be fine. We were receiving more than enough money. That would naturally be adjusted. It hurts, but we can endure. That's what I thought. But if just enduring it was enough, it wouldn't be a 1 on the die. So even in that sense, this is definitely a roll of a die coming up as 1. Anyway, the new board of directors was inaugurated back in April, and they've outlined their new policies for all projects. For more details, please look through the papers I'll be handing out. His papers were then passed around. He started to go over the details, but I read through quickly so I could learn about their stupid decisions first. The Area Institute has made great headway into uncovering the mystery of the Hinamizawa syndrome, as well as creating a cure for the disease. The board of directors is extremely pleased. We recognize this is due to the unceasing efforts of Director Irie and all of the staff of the Area Institute. Thank you. Even while he received their congratulations, a tense atmosphere surrounded me and the Area. It's customary to start the conversation in the opposite way you're planning to take it before delving into your main point to convey. If the main issue is something good, then start with something bad, or vice versa. The Area Institute had two main intentions. One was to study the disease and hopefully find a cure. The other was to research the possibility of utilizing the disease for military applications. The new board of directors has decided to put a stop to the latter immediately. In this day and age, researching biological weapons is an Achilles heel for Japan. The Area Institute must cease all related research and destroy any results. I understand. I will comply. Area replied with that immediately. Area was assertive about finding a cure, but was never even remotely interested in researching the disease's use for military purposes. So I'm sure he has no qualms about concurring with such demands. But I don't agree, because our research will be more limited if we're just trying to find a cure. To me, finding that cure is simply a byproduct of my larger goal of discovering everything about the syndrome. Also, regarding the Area Institution, we've decided to have you wrap up your work within the next 3 years. Your budget will decrease gradually as well. Wait, please. We've only recently figured out anything about the syndrome, and there's more we have to learn in order to create a better cure. We're making progress, but I can't guarantee we'll come up with a complete cure within 3 years. It's the understanding of the board that the Area Institute has already completed enough research to develop a cure, if you consider stabbing yourself 3 times a day a cure. The Area Institute has already completed the C-117 vaccine. It has a great deal of clinical data. No, it's not even close to being completed. It's still only a prototype, and we're far from being able to see a cure for all the villagers. Debating the end of our research at this stage can only be described as absolutely positively reckless. I'm surprised that Irie objected. Thanks to him, I didn't have to say anything. But if Irie hadn't objected, I'm sure I would have shrieked in protest. In other words, the Area Institute is not yet capable of curing all the people who are infected, or to fully eradicate the syndrome. Is that correct? Yes. Of course, curing the villagers and eradicating the syndrome will be possible in the future, and that's our ultimate goal. But I need more time, and of course, funding to do that. Our job is to investigate, find a practice that works, and establish it as a product. This isn't a job where you can follow a blueprint to create something with certainty in a set time frame. So we hope that you'll avoid following that misconception. I guess Aries speaks out when he needs to, and what he's saying is absolutely right, just like with the mother previously a few months ago. Research isn't something guaranteed to produce results with money and time, but I disagree with some of the things he said. He's objecting about the time and the money, but he's basically agreeing to limit our research only towards finding a cure for Hinamizawa syndrome. That won't do. We won't unravel any mysteries that way. At that rate, the discovery of the Hinamizawa syndrome won't be recognized as my grandfather's great achievement. I see. I think I see our point. Our main purpose here is to dispose of the fact that this research was conducted for military purposes. So we must forever hide the fact that research was conducted on the strange disease called Hinamizawa syndrome, as well as hide its existence. Oh geez. If you can eradicate the disease without anyone ever learning about it, then we will give you the time and funding you require. But we'll discuss more about that later. Is that acceptable? Yes. I have no problem with that. Then please submit a plan and a budget proposal for eradicating the syndrome in secrecy. We'll do our best on our part to approve your proposal. Thank you. I'll work on it immediately. Please don't misunderstand that it's our intention to halt that research immediately. We want to see the best possible outcome for your work. Please understand that. Yes, of course, I understand. While I was listening to their conversation, I was struck dumbfounded with something they said. Eradicating the syndrome in secrecy. In other words, it would be as though Hinamizawa syndrome never existed. So my grandfather's name will never be revered by anyone. The sound of rustling papers and hushed proceedings filled the meeting room, but I only heard the ticking clock as I clutched my sweating palms. You could say that it should have been publicized, because it is a vaccine of sorts that they're working on. The cure and the vaccine, and it would help, sort of like how flu vaccine and whatnot helps with future ones, smallpox and so on. Alright, so we don't do those yet, even though I can do this. What else do we have? Completion of the medicine 117. They said I have it in that previous meeting, but I sort of don't believe it is. I may have been misunderstanding it, but I'm pretty sure that I don't have that one. I'm going to click it just to be sure. Oh. Hey, Nakagawa-kun. Long time no see. Still at it lately? You know, that. No, not at all. It's no fun getting old. You've got to concentrate when you work with clay. If you put it off for a long time, your senses get dull and there's no point. Sensei, allow me to introduce someone. This is Major Takano. What? Very nice to meet you. Thank you for taking time to meet me today. I truly appreciate it. Ah, I really didn't make time for you, actually. I was told that I could have some good raw sea urchins. Oh, I remember this one. Sea urchins are good for you, did you know? Rich in vitamin A and they're good for your skin. Women like sea urchins, right? It's true that sea urchins are rich in vitamin A, but compared to spinach, it's not anything that's worth making a fuss about. Well, none of that matters right now. He just seems like an unpleasant man, so I wanted to criticize him. These men are the directors of the Alphabet Project who control the funding for the Erie Institute. They're also the people who are in the position of being able to offer their opinions to those directors. To put it in a simpler way, they're the new owners of the Erie Institute. Although not as much as Uncle Koizumi was, they are also leaders and influencers in various fields. I have to be very careful not to upset them. Therefore, there's no way I would have the ability to call them in. By using the influence that the Koizumi faction once had, I had finally managed to get this chance. Uncle Koizumi, who gave me his full support and made everything go my way, is not here anymore. I'm on my own from this point on, and I'll open up a path. But this stage doesn't just belong to me today. I can't let the people who offer me this chance lose face, so I have to wait patiently until it's my turn. My primary objective today is to explain what a prominent research subject the Hinamizawa syndrome is, and acquire an indefinite extension for our research. They only ever think about money, so they aren't even realizing the hidden potential of Hinamizawa syndrome. They don't recognize that it's worth spending a lot of money on. This isn't mere research on the existence of an unknown parasite, but something that may overthrow the basic foundations of anthropology. A Nobel Prize wouldn't even be enough. It won't be easy trying to explain all that to men who know nothing about any of it, but I have to. That's why I spent many hours making these straightforward support documents. Sometimes we make documents confusing on purpose because we don't like dealing with uneducated people. But this time, it's different. What? I can't look down at them. I must sincerely try to make them understand. The accessible support documents are there in a huge pile. It feels like we're wasting time eating traditional Japanese food in such a relaxed mood. I want to get to the point and explain to them in detail so they can understand. But there is the saying, luck lies in the last helping. I have to be patient right now. To be frank, I thought the Alphabet Project we've seen wasn't that good. In the end, it's been nothing but a sandbox for the old men with their heads still stuck in the Pacific War. Nothing but a sandbox for those old men to craft their dreams of Imperial Japan's revival with money that isn't theirs. Do you know how much public funding was wasted on those illusions? From what I've heard, there's already prosecutors poking people like Okuno-sensei and trying to pin embezzlement on the old board of directors. That's what you get for trying to suck up to those old men. Of course, none of it can be made public, so I guess they'll be held responsible or demoted in another form. This is what the country gets for letting these ghosts of the war run around freely all this time. Boy, these grilled sea urchins are fantastic. Not a drain on the budget whatsoever. Well, this is harsh. I realize it's extremely difficult to ask this of you all when you feel that way, but might I have a moment of your time? You're from the Erie Institute, aren't you? You're researching some kind of local disease in Nagano or Gifu, right? What's going on down there? The board has decided to halt the research for military application. The research project itself is to wrap up within 3 years as well. Oh, no, sorry. That's still being discussed. Anyhow, our work is scheduled to be shut down within a few years. Ah, yes. I remember now. The Area Institute had a bad reputation even among the old board of directors. After all, it sucked up huge funds with barely any inspections. I don't know why, but someone high up kept pushing for it for some reason. Because of that, nobody could really say anything about it, and it was left alone. But you know, that guy loved to flirt around with women, so maybe that had something to do with it. Is he implying that I slept with Uncle Koizumi? He's insulting both of us. But I held my anger in. I can't let myself be bothered by something like this. Anyway, today, I would like to explain to you the details of our Institute's research, and ask you to reconsider your decision. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend this meeting today. Well, I guess they don't give out free sea urchins for nothing, huh? I explained to them how much the Hinamizo syndrome mattered, while being very careful not to go too fast. I tried to let them know that the syndrome's potential is not limited to small things like military applications, but much more meaningful than that. It may explain ideology and religion. It may even cheat the very definition of a human being. I took my time to explain as slowly and clearly as possible. And then they went, "Oh, that's stupid, parasites controlling the brain." I'm not confident that all of it had gotten through to these boorish men, but I'm happy if they understood even just a part of it. As long as they understand how much of a magnificent discovery Hinamizo syndrome really is. Thank you, Major. I see. Just a moment. Close that. We'd like to discuss among ourselves, so could you please excuse yourself? Yes, thank you. Obviously, they can't discuss in front of me. I left all the documents with them. All I could do now was hope they viewed them favorably. I left the room and closed the sliding door. The room next door is a preparation room, so I was to head there. But I stopped. I shouldn't have done it, but I tried to listen in through the sliding door. Well, I don't know what to say. I feel sorry for everyone on the previous board of directors. I know how you feel. Koizumi-sensei pushed us so strongly. I met him once before, when he became founding director of Excess Pharmaceuticals. He seems like a very intelligent person to me. I guess you just can't win against Sage. It makes you realize how important it is for humans to know when to pull out. Haha, get it? But it is a fact that this very rare disease called Hinamizo syndrome really exists, so not everything is a delusion. I hear the Erie Institute has already succeeded in identifying the disease and developing a treatment? Isn't that enough? In modern Japan, we have to be careful with things that might make neighboring countries nervous. And military-related issues are the most sensitive ones. So at the very least, we must erase the fact that research for military purposes has been going on for the past few years immediately. Is that separate from simply discontinuing the military research then? Yes. Even if we stopped it immediately, the fact that this Hinamizo syndrome was being researched in order to create a biological weapon remains. We should hide the fact no matter what purpose the research ends up being used for. If possible, it'd be best if Hinamizo syndrome just disappears. That's true. If the disease remains, then sooner or later someone will become curious about it and dig up the hole we filled. I think we should follow the decision of the board of directors, and as soon as the Area Institute eradicates this disease, we should have them destroy all evidence of their work before disbanding. I guess that's for the best. It's not even a matter of a Nobel Prize. It's just useless for post-war Japan. Besides, this disease has existed for hundreds of years, right? We made it this far without any problems. From the start, I thought this amounted to little more than poking around in the bushes. Me too. I don't doubt the existence of the syndrome, but Dr. Takano, who discovered the disease is exaggerating more than a little. He had quite a unique interpretation of things. First of all, I've never heard of a parasite that's capable of controlling people's thoughts. It's just too much. If we tried to explain religions with this, then Buddha, Christ, all those people would be what was it again? Queen carriers? If we tried exposing something like this, we'd be attacked by every nation on the planet. Religion's pretty scary nowadays. Well, if there are parasites that live in animal brains, I guess we can say there are parasites that live in human brains too. But for them to control human thoughts? No, that's impossible. We humans are far too great for that. Yes, it's unique. As I peeked in through the gap in the sliding door, I became trapped within an unbelievable sense of deja vu. Deja vu? I still don't even know that reference, really. I haven't watched it. Was it Initial D? This is my first time experiencing this, but it doesn't feel that way. I don't know why, but the memory is so sad, so painful. Almost like what happened to my grandfather. Huh? Why? Tears. Before I realized it, I saw a very nostalgic carpeted room on the other side of the sliding door, instead of a room covered in tatami mats. The room is filled with the smell of dust mixed with the smell of some evaporated medicine, but it's very soothing to me just the same. And there is my grandfather. His article that he poured his heart into was made a mockery of, yet he wasn't even allowed to cry. This isn't a delusion, because within the documents I left with those men, there are a lot of references to the article my grandfather wrote. So I'm not surprised for my grandfather to be standing right there, explaining it to them himself. Together with my tears from seeing the sight of my beloved grandfather, I watched these men insult and belittle his masterpiece. I've seen this sight before, and the sight should have ended there. But why is it repeating before my eyes? I can only blankly peek through the sliding door at this strange world, where reality and illusion overlap. The Major is a little strange, and Koizumi-sensei, who believed in something as ridiculous as this, is a little strange too. But the strangest one of all is the person who wrote this article in the first place. It blends together expectations and illusions, and looks more like fiction than a thesis. I think this will be a big hit once it gets published, you know? You're absolutely right. I have a friend who's the head of a publishing company. I bet he'll love this. Wahahaha. This is not a laughing matter, gentlemen. A huge amount of money was poured into this over the past few years. The worst thing is that the equipment used to gas the villagers in case of an emergency has already been procured. Our people must never learn about this. For such a plan to exist is scary enough, but if people find out about this equipment, the whole country will turn against us. On top of that, the cost to maintain this equipment is enormous. You don't really think it's being maintained, do you? Surely this whole project is some kind of money laundering scheme. What'd they say anyway? If one girl dies, the whole village will go crazy at once? What kind of comic book is this? Exactly. Someone actually believed such a childish story and put a huge amount of money into it. Now that's crazy. What's truly ridiculous is that someone actually took these documents seriously. As he said that, he placed the documents down with an exaggerated gesture. Actually, I should say he slammed them down. That line exactly is like Rena believing Mio's stuff. Because the papers ended up scattered all over the floor. You're too right. Excuse me. I need to use the bathroom. One of the men stood up and stepped on the papers. And they weren't the papers on the tatami mats, but the ones on the carpet. Right there I can see my grandfather filled with heartrending sadness. Yet he can't let it show on his face. Grandfather's expression didn't change, yet it seemed distorted to me. I could see the walls of my grandfather's study crumpling and twisting behind him. I jumped into the room. I grabbed onto the man's legs. I don't hate him. No, it's not whether I hate him or not. Sure, I hate him, but that's not it. I just can't forgive the feet stepping on my grandfather's article. Don't step on them. My grandpa wrote these. Please don't step on them. Oh, sorry. Those feet are still stepping on the papers. I tried to make them move, but they won't even budge, as though they'd grown roots. So I begged as I grabbed onto his legs. I tried to pull the papers out from under his feet, but I can't move his feet. I can't pull the papers. Don't step on them. Don't step on them. My grandpa's, don't step on them. My sobbing echoed in that silent room, just like it did back then. She made like the worst case of it. Like her going crazy over that is definitely not helping her case at all. Just one page left on this one. I'm pretty sure I can do it. Yeah. Let's say I can't do that until I do this. I don't want to do that until I do this, at least. Maybe also this? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do that. And the two things required are a bit earlier, so I think I should do this first. School is the children's world. The values of grown-ups don't apply. I've noticed the message speed is different between the children and the adults. They decide their own values and create their own world. So the rules of the grown-up world of the village don't mean anything here. Even when the villagers badmouth the Hojo family and try to isolate them, that has no meaning at our school. In the children's world, children decide the rules. Rules they think are irrational don't exist here. That's why, as the representative for the children here, I vow that I'll never let any irrational rules come into our world. Within the school, no harassment is allowed towards the Hojo siblings. In the very beginning, some boys teased Satsuko, but they were punished severely, and it hasn't happened ever since. That's the least I can do to resist the madness of the village. So I hope Satoshi and Satsuko both feel that the school is a safe place for them. Satoshi must notice my concern, because he often smiles when he's here. However, I never see Satsuko smile. Satsuko's classmates used to try to cheer her up, but soon after, they decided that it was best to just leave her alone. I used to try to talk to her, but when I realized something, I stopped doing that. I'm a member of the Sonozaki family. To Satsuko, I'm one of her enemies, so I'm sure she feels uncomfortable to have me around her. All I can do is to watch over her. That's why Satsuko is alone in the classroom. That said, Rika-chan is always hanging out around with her, even though Satsuko told her she was annoying. Satoshi too is always beside her. These two are the only ones who remain by her side. It isn't limited to Satsuko, of course. The malicious isolation is still continuing towards the Hojo family. Because their hysterical aunt is so hostile towards her neighbors, there's nobody who sympathizes with her. It's wise to know there are fights worth picking, and also fights better set aside. If the aunt had even a little tolerance or self-control, this isolation wouldn't have continued. Of course, the villagers were the ones who forced them into that role, even though they weren't related to the issue. But if she had stayed quiet, then it wouldn't have gone so far. The aunt's hostility is one thing, but she's dragging everyone in the family into it as well. The uncle and the aunt haven't been getting along, and he hardly comes home. Both Satoshi and Satsuko are forced to live in shame. The aunt vents her stress by harassing Satsuko. This was the same too. The aunt is her guardian, after all, but Satsuko doesn't even try to hide her disgust, so things aren't going smoothly between them. If she had behaved like Satoshi, then she wouldn't have been made into a target. So does that mean the sad life Satsuko is living right now is something she caused herself? No, it doesn't. But no matter how much I sympathize and how much I want to help her, nobody knows what to do. An apology won't change the situation. The flow can't be reversed. The fact that the Hojo family is ostracized by the entire village can't be changed. That's the horribleness lurking underneath our lives. The neighbors, the village, and the community. Once they become your enemies, the world can become so cruel. Japanese people have known that since ancient times, which is why we cultivated empathy and an obligation to show courtesy to one's neighbors. No matter who I blame, Satsuko won't smile. So the only thing I can do is to watch over her and make sure that she's safe when she's at school. Thank you, Mion. Huh? Sorry, what? I just want to thank you for being so concerned about Satsuko. Satoshi kind of appears absent-minded, but sometimes he says things as if he can read your thoughts. I tried to deny it since it's out of character for me, but he smiled as if he could tell exactly what I was thinking. Satsuko's just forgotten how to smile. When she's at school, she can let go of a little tension for a while. I'm sure she treasures that time. That's basically the only thing this old man can do for her. That's not true. I really appreciate it. Stop that. You don't need to say that. Besides, my family is the one who's causing all this grief. I don't think that way. I really don't. I'm not good at reading people's subtle cues, but I know for sure what he just said is a lie. Sashi knows that he and his family are being isolated because of the Sonozakis, and he's, of course, aware that I'm a member of the Sonozaki family too. Sashi is mature, and that's the only reason he doesn't take it out on me. If he had the same temper as his aunt, he would hate me bitterly. Knowing that, the least I can do is not get close to them. But I'm a meddlesome person, and when I see Satsuko looking depressed, or Sachi forcing himself to smile, I have to do something. That might be even more troublesome to Sachi and Satsuko, though. Maybe. I just don't understand Satsuko's feelings. Why? My family is causing Satsuko grief, so for me, a member of that family, to hang around her, is that the right thing to do? Sure. That's you being you. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that I'm insensitive? I don't mean that. If this atmosphere itself is robbing Satsuko of her smile, then only someone who can completely ignore it can bring her smile back. This old man can't tell if you're trying to compliment him or not. You're mean. I'm not ridiculing you, really. I just want you to help. Huh? I can't make Satsuko smile again by myself. I need someone like you to help me. But, me and Sonozaki, you know? If I do something insensitive, I might end up hurting Satsuko even more. Satsuko is already lonely. Are you going to leave her alone too? This is the first time Sachi's asked me for something so aggressively. Satsuko is a very important person to him. He's saying he needs my help to make her smile again. But still, no. Maybe he's right. What's going on between the Sonozaki family and the Hojo family is an issue among the grown-ups. We children don't need to care about that. The irrational rules of the grown-ups don't mean anything in our world. So I have to object to the irrationality of the grown-up world using methods of my own. Are you sure Satsuko won't feel bothered by me? She may, at first. But I'll be with you. I'll be with you, Mion. So she'll open up right away. You think so? Should we do something after school today? If we go home first, our aunt might say something, and we might not be able to leave. Okay, then it's simple. Don't go home first. But if we get home too late, she'll ask us what we were doing. Let's see. I know. Why don't you join a club? A club? Yeah. Tell her you're going to an after-school club. Tell her that you're doing something after school before going home. There are plenty of people who go out after school before they go home. That'll be no problem. Except when the aunt's like, no. But if we mess up our clothes, our aunt will say, okay, then we'll do something indoors. Then your clothes will stay clean. Indoors? Do you mean in the classroom? But wouldn't Chie-sensei say something? It's possible to play passionately while not going wild indoors. Contrary to my appearance, I love playing games. I've collected some treasures from overseas, too. Some of the manuals are written in English and are a little complicated, while with some of them I need someone to play with, so a lot of them are just sitting in the storage room. Do you think Satsuko can play those too? Sure. If you don't know the rules, then you just make them up. As long as everyone is following the same rules, it's totally okay. I said it so confidently, but would bringing games from home and asking Satsuko to play with us actually make her smile again? What have I got to lose? Maybe I'll bring one of the board games tomorrow. Oh, also, Mion, I have something else I want to ask you. What? This old man is all ears. I'm looking for a part-time job. I thought if I could get her a nice birthday present, that might make her feel better. I forget. Is that the one where he's about to leave the team or so on? I think we have that as one of the requirements. I just gotta check real quick. Right here, right? Part-time job is required. Footsteps following him is required. Oh, so I couldn't even do this anyway. Or even if I did this, this wouldn't be unlocked yet. Let's see. I could finish this page. I can't do those yet, of course. Is the death of his aunt required? Bat to beat her to death is required, which probably requires this right here. Obviously can't do this yet. And you can't do this. Wait. I can't do this until I do this. And the fourth ear curse is required there. So let me take a look at this. Big teddy bear is required. I don't have it. But now I know about the raw sea urchin and whatnot. And then the game board. The Revenge of Mio Takuno is required, and Keiichi coming is required. Okay. Let's do Rena then. Hello? Hello. Good afternoon. Oh, who are you? Ah, sorry. We just moved in next door. We're here to introduce ourselves. Pleased to meet you. Oh my. Someone as young as you moved here? I see. Welcome. Mom, our new neighbor is here to say hello. Don't yell like that. Thank you for taking time to come over. They're the Ryugu family. They just moved into the empty house next door. Ah, you're Reina-chan, aren't you? My, how you've grown. Yes, I'm Reina. Thank you for remembering how... Mom, do you know her? Of course I do. You were living in Okonomiya then, so you probably don't remember. But they used to live next door. Oh, they actually did live there. So you came back, huh? This village is better than the big city, is it? I don't remember much because I was so small when we lived here. But I feel this is where I belong. Oh, I think she's without her father. You'll fit right in. If there's anything we can do for you, let us know. There's no need to hesitate. Being unreserved is the rule here, after all. Is she gonna ask to be called Rena? Ah, yes. Thank you very much. No, probably not. Only with the kids. I thought I'd remember things if I walked around the village, but I still don't remember much. I do recall, however, the vivid breeze, as well as the brilliant greenery. I don't remember the village, but I remember that this is my hometown. Red scars still remain on my body. It's probably only been a few months. They're hardly visible. I can't even feel them. I'm sure they'll disappear soon. Now that I'm back in Hinamizawa, sometimes I wonder who I was back in Ibaraki. In fact, I think I wasn't myself from the moment I left. And now, by coming back here, I finally regained my true self. I can hardly remember what I was like back in Ibaraki. Well, that's probably because of the red medicine. The medicine erased all of my painful memories. Maybe that was for the best. I just wanted to be forgiven back then. I couldn't forgive my mother. I couldn't forgive Uncle Akihito. And more than anybody, I couldn't forgive myself. I wanted someone to acknowledge that I wasn't at fault. I wanted to be forgiven. So Yashua-sama apologized. She told me I wasn't at fault, because it was the curse of Yashua-sama. That's how I was able to forgive myself. I didn't have to die by tearing my blood vessels out of my body. I think people have to die because they become corrupted. That's why people try their hardest not to dirty themselves all their lives. But I'm still living, despite how dirty I am. I've been allowed to live. Is there still some filth left on me? Or am I all clean? I don't know. The only thing I know is that the me who lived in Ibaraki and the me who's here right now are two different people. I no longer feel the need to take responsibility by ripping myself apart because of the filth. After arranging some furniture and unpacking some boxes, we finally had dinner. Although I hardly remember Hinamizawa, my father remembers things very clearly. Although it was around when we lived here before, the Watanabe Festival has grown huge these days. It's held at the end of June. Watanabe? I've never seen it myself, so I don't know too much about it, but supposedly people let cotton absorb the filth on their bodies and drift it down the stream. Absorb the filth. You can wash your filth down the stream, huh? Of course. Humans are sinners. As we live every day, filth piles up on our bodies, supposedly. And once a year, we get rid of the filth by letting the cotton absorb it. People become burdened with filth and sin by doing something bad. Court sentences can sell your crimes legally, but that doesn't mean the burden of sin, of the filth, will just go away. In other words, human hands can't erase human filth in this human world. The filth is something humans can't get rid of, and that's why we need a god from a different world to do that. That's what I thought. But I'm surprised to learn about Watanagashi. Human hands erasing human filth in the human world, letting the cotton absorb the filth and drifting it down the stream. That means it's okay to live in this world. I tried to commit suicide because I couldn't forgive myself. Oyasho-sama apologized to me and told me to come back to Hinamizawa. And now, here in Hinamizawa, there's this Watanagashi, a ceremony to get rid of filth. This isn't just a coincidence. Hinamizawa is a place to wash away your filth. It forgives sins. It's a place of forgiveness. It's called a purification ceremony. Ah, I've heard of those before. Japanese culture is very strict about filth. You aren't allowed to remain in the spotlight if you accumulate too much. See, that's the reason why politicians and company presidents resign immediately once people find out about their dirty deeds. You must leave the spotlight if you're filthy. To put it in a bad way, the filth is basically pushed onto someone else, and they're held responsible for it. Sins and filth must be removed. That's why people push them onto someone else, and then try to get rid of the filth by sacrificing that person. But if that's the case, every time that filth is created, people will try to pass around responsibility for it. That's awfully hideous. It's almost like seeing demons in the human world. That's why they came up with the idea of letting the cotton absorb all the filth. By doing so, people can live without making someone else take on all the responsibilities, sins, and filth. Putting everyone's sins onto someone and then killing that person makes that person a sacrifice. Who wants to be a sacrifice? That's why they desperately push their sins around. A purification ceremony is about replacing the human sacrifice with a non-human one. The purification ceremony dramatically changed Japanese culture. Before then, people always believed someone had to become a sacrifice. In other words, even with filth, everyone can live without blaming someone else. Filth can be forgiven by a method other than death. Only an existence higher than humans can forgive them. I was forgiven by Oyasho-sama and came back to this place. Watanagashi, the purification ceremony that exists here. Letting cotton absorb the filth and drifting it away. There's no need for a sacrifice. That's why I've been allowed to live. The filthy me has drifted away, so the me that remains is no longer Reina Ryugu. If I'm not Reina, then who am I? If I'm without filth, without all the icky things. What was it? Ikinai Mono? Who am I? A name vaguely appears in my head. My new name, that only removes one of the letters from Reina. But I think it's a cute name. All the icky things are erased and forgiven with the removal of one letter. In fact, I want to recheck that. So my name is no longer Reina. Japanese. Oh no, it's Iya Nakoto. Oops, that's not a button. Config. And English again. So my name is no longer Reina. My name is Kimono Nawa. Right, so on this page, that's not doable yet. That's doable, but I don't think I should do it yet still. This is all stuff I can't do. So all I have left is this and this and that to do those. So I'll hear the footsteps, and then I can do that. And after that, it'll just be... I should probably do disappointment now, actually. Oh, that was quick. I think I was skipping through the stuff. Maybe we should wrap up for now. I don't think you're in the mood today. Ah, those two. That's not true. Sorry if I gave you that impression. Takano-san has been looking through the viewfinder, but I haven't seen her push the shutter at all. While she came along, I don't think she's in the mood for bird watching. Takuma-san has been depressed ever since the announcement of the new policies at the board meeting the other day. That's understandable. The Erie Institute was created by her in the first place. It was created so that she can devote her life to researching Hinamizo syndrome. For all that to be tossed aside while being asked to wrap up work within a few years, of course she's depressed. Besides, she can't even fully spend the rest of the time left on research. Their funding was being cut in stages, and by the end, they'll barely be able to finish closing up, let alone research anything. I heard that she's the granddaughter of the late Dr. Takano. Yeah, straight from her. Her determination to finish her grandfather's research is what kept her going until today. Since everything has been going so smoothly until recently, this sudden change in the wind's direction must have been a total shock. The shift in people pulling the strings must be pretty serious. The board of directors was completely changed out, and she heard that people in projects influenced by the Koizumi faction were being restructured to set an example. Oh wow. The wind's new direction seems likely to remain for a long time. It's highly unlikely that the Koizumi faction will come back into power, so no matter what we say, it's almost impossible to expect the same kind of support from them. Isn't there something we can do? Takuma-san muttered. Unfortunately, there isn't. There's nothing anybody could do. At first, the board talked about halting the research immediately. But after lots of convincing, they finally agreed to make a gradual suspension over a few years. The people who helped us when the Erie Institute was first created are the ones who managed that. I see. While it looks like the worst-case scenario, it's actually somebody else's hard-earned victory, huh? 3 years was the best they could do. I tried too, you know? I used your data to try and explain to the board how important this research is. Only 3 more years, huh? So 3, 4, 4th curse, 5th curse, and then almost out of time. So yeah. Maybe Takuma-san doesn't understand how hard I tried to convince them. Because what she just said tells me the length of time left really doesn't matter to her. The important thing is that her research is being stopped. The fact is that I couldn't meet her expectations and made her feel disappointed. As a man, it kind of hurts. The best I can do at this point is route as much funding as possible towards the research, so that you can work to your heart's content for the few years we have left. Sorry. I can't do anything else. That's okay. If that's the best you can do, then I'm very happy. Her words hurt me. I wish she had chosen different ones, but I think that would be asking too much from someone so heartbroken. I must be understanding of her pain at a time like this. Besides, I know how close she was to the deceased Koizumi-sensei. She even called him uncle. To her, his death is not just the start of a coup, or a change in direction. She lost a person who was always looking after her, no matter how hard she pushed herself to act villainous. She wasn't supposed to be a part of this world. She was just an ordinary woman. But she was intrigued by Hinamizo syndrome, and she had to find help from someone who had more power than her to be able to continue research on it. The dark side of the world she should never have gotten involved in, extended its hands out to her. She was left all by herself in that world, and she's still trying to put on a brave face. I'm sure Takuma-san thinks I'm unreliable. Realistically, I'm not the kind of person who can meet her expectations, nor do I have the power to. The least I can do for her is stay sincere and remain her ally until the very end. Since she had so much room to act, it's harder for her to determine what actions to take when she's cornered. I wanted her to believe she wouldn't, but I'm concerned that she might do something drastic eventually. I hope I can be of help to her in that very final moment before she makes her move. But I can't even gain enough trust from her to do that. How pitiful and pathetic. Of course, part of it is, as a man, I want her to rely on me. But that's not really it. She's been abandoned in this world and is all alone, so someone has to be her ally. And if I'm the only one who knows about it, then that being her ally is my job. I know her too well, so I know that she'll never ask for help. Even if she says it's unnecessary, someone has to be with her. I know that. I don't really think I'm suited for that job. I'm sure that there are many reliable people out there who are more appropriate for the position than me. but I can't let her be alone until that person appears. Takuma-san, I know I'm pathetic and unreliable. Hmm? What's this all of a sudden? What is it, Jiro-san? But I think I can be of help to you. So, thank you. But I don't believe that talking to people helps you feel better. Sorry. Though I'm happy to hear that you're concerned. I really am. Okay, that's fine. I'll always be on your side. Please believe that, okay? Except when I'm not. Of course I will. If you think of a good idea to convince the board, please let me know, okay? Sure. I'll do my best. Why is it? I know she's such a strong person, and there's nothing someone like me can do for her. But, somehow, I feel she needs help and support right now. She looks as tough as ever. But only I, who has been taking pictures of her all this time, can tell. A viewfinder, after all, is also a window to look into someone's heart. But if I say something like that, she'll tease me again, so I won't. Anyway, I never thought she needed support more strongly than I do right now. One more, then we feed the cat. Oh, it's our first full page done. Can't do that, of course. Can't do that until I complete these two, I think. After that is this one, which I don't think I'll do that until after the death. That one's definitely, or this one's definitely after that, though. Alright, let's get started with these two. My harsh and brutal days are still continuing without end. The situation between my aunt and Satoko remains the same. My aunt yells at Satoko for no reason every night. Although Satoko cries, she still talks back to her. So my aunt's yelling goes on and on forever. Satoko's crying goes on and on too. When Satoko sees me, she grabs onto me. She hides behind my back and tries to ignore my aunt's yelling. She always comes to seek my help. Satoko doesn't open up to anyone but me. So if I don't protect her, she'll be devastated. That security is something our parents didn't grant to Satoko. I have to be the one to provide it. But every day, day after day, every time Satoko cries, every day, day after day. Satoko grabbed onto me while crying yesterday. I patted her head, but along with pity, a different emotion came to me. I wanted to grasp her head and smash her against the wall. What an unbelievably devilish and awful emotion. No, no, no. I can't think that. No, it's not that I can't think it. I just can't acknowledge that feeling. Since that day, there's been someone else inside me. That someone is trying to eat me up from the inside and switch places with me. When Satoko begs for my help while crying, that person tries to make me spill out some awful and hateful words that are sure to damage Satoko forever. Leave me alone. Don't grab onto me. Go away. No, 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 no. I can't. To prevent him from taking over my body, I clenched my stomach and drove him out. I managed to do that. But that wasn't it. That person is coming after me, trying to get back inside of me. The footsteps. I won't let such a scary thing get back inside of me. He knows there's no room to slip into my heart as long as I keep it held shut like this. So he stopped trying, and instead is following right behind me. He's waiting for me to let my guard down. When I walk, he walks right behind me. He's breathing down my neck. He follows me everywhere, and when I lie down, he stares down at me. He's waiting for the right moment to jump back inside of me, so he can hurt Satoko. It's been so hot lately. Maybe the heat is getting to me. That's why I think things like this. I'm the only family Satoko has, so I'll have to protect her from my aunt for the rest of my life. That's my eternal duty. The rest of my life? Forever? Do I really have to do that forever? If only Satoko, well, I'm our only family. But it's because of my aunt. But it's because of the villagers too. It's almost Watanashi. Some irresponsible people are saying that the curse will once again fall upon Hinamizawa. They're also saying it'll fall upon me and Satoko for sure. Second. Alright, seems fine. I saw I was connected to chat for a second. Maybe it's just my imagination, but lately the villagers expecting it are giving me especially sharp looks. I feel like I'll be killed on the day of Watsunashi. Of course, there's no reason why I would be killed, and it's just my imagination. Slap, 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 slap. Don't come inside me. Satsuko is my only sister in my family, so don't tell me those awful things. Slap, slap, slap. Stop, stop. Don't come this way. Don't come this way. The footsteps came up right behind me, and a hand touched me on my shoulder. Is it Rena? Yep. Ah! Oh, Rena. Are you okay? Are you? I must have been acting weird. Rena looked worried. Her name is Rena Ryugu. She just moved here and transferred to my school. Nobody remembers her, but supposedly she lived here in Hinamizawa a long time ago. In fact, she hardly remembers anything about Hinamizawa either. Since Mion is the only other classmate who's my age, I'm glad she's my friend. She usually carries on happily alongside Mion, but occasionally she shows more feminine consideration. Are you feeling okay? Do you want me to take you to the nurse's office? Do you? Thank you. I'm okay. Do I look sick or something? Yep. Her immediate answer made me realize I wasn't myself. Is it about Satoko-chan? Are you worried? No, that isn't it. She knows that my problem isn't physical, but a mental one. This is just something I think to myself, but even though Rena seems like a very easygoing person, maybe she's more perceptive than she appears. Since I just transferred here recently, I may not be able to help much, but I can at least listen. Sometimes talking can help. Although she just transferred, she already knows quite a bit about me and my sister, and also about the situation with the villagers. But talking about it won't solve anything. Actually, if I talk about it, I feel like I'd be admitting to my weakness, which might give that person a chance to get inside of me again. You were so surprised just now. That's why I thought something really serious was bothering you. Oh, oh, that. Lately, I feel like someone is following me all the time. Slap, 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 slap. I thought that was you. Sorry. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Footsteps? Following you? Huh? I I know those. I know those footsteps. Oh, and then the scene just ends? If so, then I'm gonna go feed the cat and use the restroom. I should probably grab water too. Right, stopping right there. I'll do a quick save just to be safe, you know? Save and load. And going to do fragments. And I'll open it without reading anymore. Be right back as soon as I can. Just read my stream stuff. Okay. I see. No, you don't need to do that. You're a promising member of the Hinamizawa Fighters. We'll save your spot. So you can come back anytime, okay? Ah, I don't know about that, though. I have no idea when I can come back, so I thought I should resign at least for now. Sachi-kun says he wants to quit the Hinamizawa Fighters. I know very well of Sachi-kun and Satsuko-chan's situation, so I was expecting that he might say this. The relationship between Satsuko-chan and her aunt has gotten worse, to the point that it can be considered abuse. When someone from the Child Consultation Center came, of course her aunt behaved herself. Then, immediately after, her harassment turned even more vicious. According to the neighbors, the aunt's scolding and Satsuko-chan's crying can be heard nightly, and sometimes it goes on past midnight. Satsuko-chan's weekly physical checkup results are slowly growing worse, and we're trying to keep her stable by increasing her medication. Oh geez. But unless her relationship with her aunt improves, she's sure to go terminal and sink into madness. Although, she isn't the type to become deranged, even at the terminal stage. She's the type who holds everything in, harboring her insanity inside. Just like she pushed her parents off the cliff 2 years ago, Satsuko-chan may kill her aunt. Thanks to the mountain dogs, the incident was resolved as an accident, and Oishi stepped aside, although he's still suspicious. If something like that happens again around Satsuko-chan, he's sure to investigate her mercilessly. I can't do anything more about Satsuko-chan's environment changing for the worse, even though there's no thou there. So I'm not surprised to hear that Sachi-kun wants to quit the baseball team, so he can be with his sister more. Actually, I'm starting a part-time job. That's why I can't come to practice. Part-time job? Is there something you want to buy? Yes. It's almost Satsuko's birthday. There's a teddy bear Satsuko has been looking at, and I want to get it for her. That's right. I remember the birth date on her insurance card. I think it's June 24th. Right after the Watanabe Festival. What? Has it ever been celebrated before? I feel like it hasn't. I see. You're such a good brother. I'm sure Satsuko-chan will be thrilled. I hope so. I can tell Sachi-kun is also stressed out. To him, seeing Satsuko-chan being harassed is the same thing as being harassed himself. His stress can be released through moderate exercise, such as with sports, and also with plenty of rest. If Satsuko-chan is being yelled at nightly, then it's easy to figure out that Sachi-kun isn't getting enough sleep either. I don't know what kind of job he's starting, but I don't think he'll be able to vent his stress on it. In fact, I don't like the idea of Sachi-kun taking a part-time job, because he's already so worn out in every way. I asked him if he wanted me to help him pay for the present, but of course he declined the offer. It's a present from him, so he wants to earn the money himself. He's taking this part-time job only to earn enough money to buy Satsuko-chan's present, so it'll be a temporary thing. If it's for a short period of time, maybe it won't be that bad. While I want to stop him from working because I don't want him to get even more stressed, since he says Satsuko-chan's birthday is near, I don't think I can stop him. Sachi-kun's determined. If I say any more, I may lose his trust, so I'll have to accept his leave of absence. Oh, coach, can I maybe borrow a bat? I completely misunderstood his words. Later, I found out he carried around that bat to protect himself, and realized that, even then, he was already showing some dangerous symptoms. He believed there would be a fourth mysterious death this year, and that he would be the victim. He became obsessed with the idea that someone was after his life. That is a symptom of Hinamizawa syndrome's terminal stage. But although I was involved so deeply with the syndrome, I was careless. A bat? What do you need a bat for? Sachi-kun had his own bat, so he should have asked if he could take it home, but instead he asked if he could borrow it. When I think about it now, he said it that way to lighten his guilty conscience, but how could I have known that? Well, although I can't come to practice, I think I'll have a little time to practice swinging on my own. That's great. Sure, please take it with you. But make sure you do it in an open space, okay? If it won't bother your neighbors, it's good practice to hit a hanging tire. Swinging a bat can release stress, so letting him take his bat home will help. That's why I thought. But that was a huge mistake. I realized it only when things were already past the point of no return. So I'm thinking with today and next week, 6 days from now, I should be able to finish all these fragments. That's my hope. Because I do like maybe 12 per. Each page is 8, and we have like one full page and a partial page if I can get through what I'm thinking of getting through. So now we're starting the curses. A bat beard's death is required. We were prepared to respond quickly this year. That was why we were able to start the investigation immediately by securing the crime scene. The victim is the wife of the younger brother of the Hojo couple, so she's an extremely suitable target for the 4th year's curse of Oyasho-sama. She has a horrible reputation among the locals. After the incident, everyone said she deserved to be cursed. I have a general idea of who the culprit must be. It's probably Sachi Hojo, that innocent-looking kid. There's even a motive. The deceased abused his sister relentlessly, so this would be in revenge for that. Also, when he attended the inspection of the crime scene, he was rather frantic, yet also far too composed, as if he was totally unrelated to the incident. My intuition from many years of police work tells me that 8 or 9 out of 10 times, someone who acts like that is the perp. I have no concrete proof, but if I question him and shake him up a bit, I have a feeling he'll confess. I sure hope I don't run into a young girl who defends him. For the victim to be so beaten up, the culprit must have some blood on him as well. If we can find that, then we'll have proof. Unless he's a complete fool, I'm sure he's already gotten rid of it by now. If we can find any in the place he says he disposed it in after he fesses up, then we can convince the prosecutor too. This was pretty insignificant as a standalone case. A confession from Sachi Hojo would end it. Everyone except me must believe that. But if I look at it as a part of the series of mysterious deaths, it won't be so easy. Either the 3 families of the village, or the Sonozaki family alone, is directly involved in this. If they're the ones pulling the strings, they must have instigated Sachi Hojo into committing this crime. If so, Sachi Hojo is someone who knows way too much about them. The Sonozaki family's actions must remain hidden. If he could connect them to the crime, would they let him run around freely? Sachi Hojo is a loving brother who cares very much for his sister, and they set him up to kill his aunt as the 4th year's curse. After that, they'll eliminate the one person who can connect them to the crime. Sachi Hojo is not just a simple criminal. He was set up. And after that, my suspicions were confirmed, for he abruptly vanished. He disappeared in such a puzzling way. He didn't run because he was afraid that his crime had come to light. Another culprit came into the picture. He was already arrested for a different crime, and furthermore, he died while in prison. He confessed to information only the culprit himself would have known. Therefore, he must be the culprit. But as he's already dead, the investigation was closed. Then, Sachi Hojo disappeared a few days after the festival. It's obvious someone doesn't want Sachi Hojo to be connected to this incident. My boss put pressure on me to close the investigation and to file Sachi Hojo's disappearance as a separate incident. He even handed the case over to a different section. The way this case is closing so rapidly greatly resembles the same trick used 2 years ago with the Hojo couple's accident. There's no doubt it's the work of someone who can put pressure on the police. As it happens, the Sonozaki family is the only one who can actually exert influence on the police department here in the Hinamizo area. They may think their trails are covered, but this points towards them more clearly than anything. According to my informant, Oryo Sonozaki mentioned the 4th year's curse at the family meeting, and hinted that she was the one behind it all. Hinting isn't strong enough evidence, but there's no mistaking that Oryo Sonozaki is the one pulling the strings. I know they're the ones who did in the old man, but I just can't grab them. The principal offender is still on the loose, but I'm sure he's being sheltered somewhere by the Sonozaki family. I have to locate him and find that missing right arm. I'll return the arm to his grave, make the principal offender and the masterminds both bow down before it. However, just like how Satoshi Hojo disappeared, it's possible the principal offender has already been eliminated. Bay's already been killed and buried somewhere nobody can find. If that's the case, then that's fine. I'll make the old bag who ordered someone to kill the old man slam her forehead on the ground before his grave. This I swear. After the 4th year's curse, people are already saying something will happen again next year. Even with all my preparations, I couldn't prevent the incident from happening this time. It's too late if something happens. I must keep my eyes on the core of the village before something takes place. There's a reason why I have to get to the bottom of this by next year. Because I'm tired. 2 weeks later. My mother has been wanting to go back to her hometown in Hokkaido, and for a long time, she's been asking me to move there when I retire. I feel that's the least I can do for her, so I agreed to move to Hokkaido when I retire. So next year is my last chance to avenge the old man's death. It happened 4 years in a row, so more than likely, there'll be a 5th curse too. As a result of the series of mysterious deaths, the village has been tightly knit together since the dam protests. They were told that betrayers will be punished in the name of the curse. To the masterminds, that's enough reason to continue with the series of mysterious deaths. According to rumors, this year's victim, the aunt, was cursed because she didn't participate in the Watanagashi festival. So there are villagers who believe that if they don't participate in next year's Watanagashi, they'll be cursed. It'll be a huge festival next year for sure. Something will happen. The series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, also known as the Curse of Oyashiro-sama. I'll avenge the old man. I definitely will. But it's like, that's not the reason she'd be killed. You'd think it'd be because she's annoying to her neighbors and whatnot. For keeping along with the previous 3 years. That's another page done. 1, 2, 3, 4. Will be all done. Then we just have all of 6, 2 of 7, so that's 8, 10, 13. We're doing this now, so next week I will definitely finish all these, I hope. The village was in an uproar, because the 4th mysterious death in a row, which everyone believed would happen, actually did. Satsuko-chan's aunt was killed. All the villagers feel rather satisfied about this incident, saying the curse finally fell on her for being a local troublemaker. There's what I thought. But I know the truth. When I saw the beaten-up body at the crime scene, I knew Satoshi-kun was responsible for it. Who is this, Mion? Shion? Her abuse towards Satsuko-chan was getting worse and worse. Satoshi-kun wanted to protect her. So he brought home a baseball bat. Maybe it's Irie. All the signs were there, so I didn't even need to hear it from Satoshi-kun. Yet I couldn't avoid questioning myself. I felt bad for the Hojo siblings, who had no one on their side, so I tried to be their ally. In the end, I failed to be any help to them. The phone rang. It was Satoshi-kun. Ah, this is Mion. He's never called me before. What happened? Does he want me to help him? If so, I will. I truly feel that way. Hello, Coach? Oh, it is Irie. Sorry to bother you while you're at work. Oh, don't worry. What can I do for you? I can't think of anyone else who has a car. A car? Sure, I have one. I'm in front of a toy store in Okonomiya. Not the one owned by Mion's uncle, but the other one by the dentist's office. Sure, I know where it is. I found a teddy bear for Satsuko's birthday. But, it's too big to put on my bicycle. Too big? Satoshi-kun, how big is this teddy bear? I guess he didn't think about it and went to the toy store on his bicycle. Now he's stuck. That's so typical of him. I can't help but smile warmly. In other words, he can't carry both the bicycle and the teddy bear, so he wants me to come pick him up. I told him I'd be right over, and headed to the toy store in Okonomiya. When I got there, I found that the teddy bear he bought is a lot bigger than I imagined. Oh my. This is huge. There's no way you can put this on your bicycle, huh? The teddy bear is so big that Satoshi-kun can hardly wrap his arms around it. If he puts it on his lap in the passenger seat, He won't be able to see anything. We loaded the bicycle in the back seat and stuffed the teddy bear in the trunk. Wouldn't you do it the other way around if you care about it? Oh, I feel like the teddy bear sounds bigger. Boy, it must have been expensive. Ah, yeah, I guess. At first I thought that he was sweating because of the heat, but he's acting oddly, as if he has a high fever and his conscience is coming and going. What's wrong? Are you feeling okay? I guess. Well, I think I have a cold. That's not good. Do you want to swing by the clinic? I'll give you a checkup. Thank you. When he called earlier, he didn't sound this way. Did he become ill all of a sudden? Why don't you put the seat back? Is it too cold? Are you okay? His face is turning pale. I can tell he has a high fever. Sachikun was pushing himself to buy this teddy bear. A teddy bear this size can't be that cheap. For him to earn enough money in such a short period of time, he must have worked hard and long hours. Maybe he felt relieved now that he got the teddy bear he had wanted to buy. It's not unusual for a person to collapse after reaching his big goal. I'm proud of you for earning enough money to buy such a huge teddy bear. Satsuko-chan will be so happy. I hope so. I'm sure she will be. I guarantee it. Our aunt is gone. Our uncle isn't coming back. There's nobody can hurt her in any way anymore, right? That's right. There won't be anyone who can hurt her. So you can relax now. Our aunt is gone, right? She died, right? Yes, she is dead. I performed the autopsy. There can be no mistake. She'll never abuse Satsuko-chan again. Are you sure? Did you really confirm that she's dead? Yes, I sure did. So, even if I see someone who looks just like her, it's not her, right? It's not like she was actually alive and recovered, right? No, that's not possible. She'll never come back to us. Then, look, that lady. She looks like her, but that's not my aunt, right? Right? Sachikun pointed at the oncoming car in fear. Of course, the car passed by so quickly that I couldn't see her face. But no matter how much she looks like her, it's impossible for her to be alive. Look at her. She looks exactly like her. She even looked at me. Calm down, Sachikun. Your aunt is dead, so no matter how much she looks like her, it's not your aunt. But she looks just like her. Look. No, it must be her. That's my aunt. I killed her. Bashed her head in, repeatedly. Why? Why? I can only try to stay calm and drive. Sachikun is losing his cool. He's delusional. He's seeing his aunt coming back from the dead. Then I finally realize Sachikun is displaying symptoms of the terminal stage. I need to examine him once I get to the clinic. It's different from Satsuko-chan's case. We already have the cure. We can treat Sachikun. If I talk to the mountain dogs, they'll take care of the murder of his aunt. So I can both save him from going terminal and give him back his peaceful days with Satsuko-chan. He was deranged until just a minute ago, but now he's gone quiet. He didn't fall asleep. I must get to the clinic while Sachikun remains in this calm state. There's no guarantee that he won't attack me while I'm driving. As if he knows what's going on through my mind, Sachikun spoke to me quietly. Coach, is this the curse of Oyashiro-sama? There is no curse. Please try to stay focused. Satsuko, sorry. Till just before I bought the teddy bear, I was thinking about running away. That's why Oyashiro-sama got angry. I'm a failure as a big brother. I'm... You don't need to say anything. Close your eyes and get some rest. We'll get to the clinic soon. Then I'll give you some medicine, okay? I feel like there are maggots in my blood. It itches. Don't scratch. Don't claw out your throat. We arrived at the back door to the clinic. I slammed the brakes and stopped the car. Sachikun has already started to claw at his throat. I can't stop him by myself. I asked for some help through the intercom. Some staff members came out immediately. Maybe Sachikun was surprised to see so many people at once, because he started to resist. I don't even need to run tests. He's at level 5. He's reached the terminal stage, and his thoughts must be filled with delusions. Maybe he thinks that the staff members want to kill him. The staff members pinned his arms and legs down and gave him a shot to put him to sleep. Coach, please, help me. Don't worry. I'll make you better, so please relax. Coach, please, take care of Satoko. Please take care of Satoko. After saying those words, he fell unconscious. My, what's going on? Sachiko-kun suddenly displayed symptoms. Considering the amount of stress he's been under, it was just a matter of time. Or maybe he was holding it back until he bought the teddy bear. It's interesting that somehow we always find a live specimen around Watanagashi. Do you think it's the curse of Oyashiro-sama? I don't have time to listen to her nonsense. I don't have time to listen to her nonsense. Close scene. It's pretty neat. You aren't really told what happens to Sasha yet. In the anime, you got a very big reveal. Alright, where are we now? I think it's finally time to start this. Then that, right? Yes. 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 Wait, tea set on the veranda. I don't even remember that one. That's, of course, the big teddy bear. This might be that, but who knows. Let's start with the new wind. With the cat. Okay, I'll get going. Thank you. Don't mention it. Come back anytime, okay? Hi, I'm home. Hey, Uncle Hiroshi. Long time no see. Hey, Mion-chan. Are you going home? I have to give my clients a ride. A ride? Ah, you're talking about your realtor business, huh? Oh, my boss. The Sonozaki family is one of the largest landowners here in the Hinamizawa area. However, since all the land is out here in the countryside, it just ends up sitting there. Recently, the land owned by the Sonozaki family was put on sale in lots. At the family meeting, some of our relatives opposed the idea by saying we shouldn't sell off land that was handed down from our ancestors. But Granny snapped and shut them right up. Some of the unused fields were made into vacant lots and released for public sale. Actually, I had some questions about it too. The Sonozaki family is very wealthy. We have plenty of land as well as money. So why would we have to sell it off? What's more surprising to me is that Granny was the one who came up with the idea. I would have thought she'd get furious if someone even mentioned something like that. Okay, if you're ever near the station, be sure to stop by. I'll treat you to a cup of barley tea. Sure, thank you very much. So, how's your business going? I'm surprised there are actually city folks who are interested. They must be those I don't know how to pronounce that still. Novu Riche types who live in the big city, yet also want a house in the countryside. Well, I guess some people are curious. There's one family seeking to move here, not purchase a villa. He said he wants to build a studio, so he must be an artist of some sort. Oh, that's great. Oh gosh, I better go now. Supposedly, he planned a tour to show them the lot, and he's the one driving the bus. It should be about time for the tour and explanations to end. He left in a hurry. Hey, can I ask you something? Why do you want to sell our land? You don't like newcomers. I don't like newcomers, and I don't like big city people either. But the village needs them. It's like ventilating a room. Is it good for the village to have new people move in? This is a wonderful village, but the world is changing quickly. In the past, a very small change took 10 or even 20 years to happen. It was such a quiet and unchanging village. Well, that's rural life. In this village, nothing is different from yesterday and today. It's too boring for me, though. But you made a friend, didn't you? Ren and Ryuga-chan moved here, and you got along great. You told me you were happy that you had a friend your age. Yeah, making friends unexpectedly is fun. I remember you saying that school is boring when Ren-chan is absent. Do you remember that? Are you saying that's the good thing about letting new people move here? No matter how cold it gets, you still have to ventilate your living space. Otherwise, it gets filled with bad air and you'll suffocate to death. Especially if you're using a fan. You open the window, even knowing the freezing cold air will come in. Letting outsiders move here is like ventilating the village? Sure. Lets fresh air in, gets rid of bad air like us. If I bring up the Hojo family, I know Granny will explode, so I won't. But I think what Granny is trying to say includes things like their ongoing isolation. Even now, when she remembers about what happened at that explanatory meeting, she gets really upset. But I guess even she feels that needs to come to an end. But of course, she can't just say she'll forgive them, not when she's at this stubborn age. She can't lose face by openly saying they need to be forgiven. Honestly, I think she's behaving like a little schoolgirl who actually likes a person, but treats them rudely when they're around. Maybe people really do go back to being children when they get old enough. I'm not just talking about Granny. The same can be said about all the old people in the village. No, maybe I should say the evil around here. That must be what she meant by bad air. There's no use circulating the air in a closed room. Unless you open the windows and let fresh air in, the air in the room won't be purified. We don't know if there's actually going to be people moving here, but don't you think you're expecting too much from whoever does? Just Renachan moving here changed Jumion. Whoever moves here will change this village. If possible, I hope some young and energetic people who have the charisma to lead will appear. They need to be the ones to put us old people away into heaven. Are you thinking about Gramps? Damn you, nobody's thinking about him. Here, have the housekeeper put away the tea set on the veranda. Oh, there's that line. Okay, I will. Mion. The day Hojo Satoshi disappeared. You came to me, huh? Wait. I switched his name. Ah, yeah, I guess I did. That is what woke me up. This problem with the Hojo family, we can't just let time take care of it. We have to take care of it ourselves as soon as possible. But you can't do it yourself. So you're going to have an outsider take care of it. That's the best I can do. No matter how bad your hand is, the next card can change the flow of the game. So maybe it's a good idea to draw cards from the stack. Your generation will be a new wind. Let that new wind come from the outside. And you'll be the wind from the inside. When both winds create a gale, the gusts will blow away the stale air from the village. That's the epitome of leaving your problems to others. Epitome. Whoops. You have to admit, it's like epic and tome, so it's like, epitome. You're the one who started the fire, and you're trying to have your grandchild take care of it? Oh, don't say that. As the new leader of the Sonozaki family, bring the new wind into the village. If you're say that's my job as your successor, please, Mion, I'm too old. The only thing I can do now is to be despised by people. The wind chime sounded quietly. Maybe that's a sign to let us know a cool breeze is on the way. Let's have a sip of water. It's about to be the my bars at the lot. It's the left one, right? Yep. Just want to be sure. Yep, so we've done 1 through 4, and we're finishing 5. That'll give us exactly 10, which is about 2.5 hours, plus whatever else I want to do after that. Preview of lots for sale. Let's just be sure. The Ryugus have moved in. The 4th year's curse has happened. And that's the... Yep. I don't know what to do. My name is Ichiro Maiba. I'm hopelessly lost. I came to Hinamizo on a tour to find a lot for a vacation home. When the realtor finished explaining some details, he told us to take a walk until the departure time. Such beautiful scenery and fresh air, I let my senses guide me, and here I am. Where am I? Who am I? I still have a little time before the departure. I'm completely lost. This is basically the middle of nowhere, but people actually do live here. If I keep walking, I should run into somebody. Then I can ask for directions. Don't worry. The only thing I need to keep in mind is the departure time for the bullet train. But the more time passes, the more I start to think I was being too optimistic about running into somebody. Because I can't find anybody at all. Maybe I'm walking farther and farther away from where people are, in which case I'm in serious trouble. So upon hearing someone's voice, I feel immensely relieved. It sounds like little girls are playing nearby. If it's a place where little kids can play, it must be a safe village. I followed those voices. Upon rounding the wild, pampas grass, I can see a beautiful field. 2 girls are playing there. The 2 girls are dancing in the field filled with blooming wildflowers. What I'm seeing is more beautiful than all the great works of art I've ever seen put together. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but this looks holier than any religious painting. Why is it that seeing innocent girls dance around like this makes people feel this way? It's probably because we're sinners. You can't live with pleasure and glory alone. We sin, even as we live. That's why we feel awed by the sight of innocence. It reminds us of the time when we were pure. Except Satoko isn't pure at this time. We grow up naturally, and we lose innocence as we do. And we admire and adore the children who symbolize that which we have lost. There's a suspicious person who's mumbling some weird stuff over there. Oh, Rika, that's not a suspicious person. Eh? Sorry. I'm not suspicious. Oh, does he see Hanyu? But you've been staring at my chest and legs. Nipa? No, I'm not. Don't turn me in. I really wasn't staring. I was using this mirror to fix my hair. I don't know what you're talking about, but it sure sounds interesting. Like father, like son. The girls teased me for a while, and when they got tired of doing that, they went back to dancing around. Realizing that whatever I said would backfire, I decided to leave them alone and sat down and watched them play. Wonder how old they are. They seem rather young, but maybe they could be close to Keiichi's age. If we move here, Keiichi might meet them at school. If we would see them at school then, they were girls that lived here. If all the children in Hinamizo are like them, then even if living a rural life may have some challenges, there's a good reason for us to move here. We're not very good parents. We didn't understand what Keiichi was going through, and left him alone until the very end. According to the parenting book I bought, the first few problems are calls for help. It doesn't matter what the action itself is, but the fact that those actions are occurring is a primitive appeal from the child seeking communication. Humans can speak. That's one of the reasons why we don't notice such signs. We can only hear words through our ears. We can't sense the signs coming from our son's heart. Keiichi probably thinks it's all his fault. Of course, he's not absent of blame. Humans aren't cats or dogs. We should know what's right and what's wrong. But it's our fault too, as his parents. To let him think that he had to go that far for us to be able to understand him is really pathetic and disappointing of us. If we had understood him and hadn't cornered him, Keiichi wouldn't have done that. So the incidents weren't only Keiichi's fault. Everyone in the Maibara family was to blame. I want to explain that to him, but he's still too young and hot-headed to be able to understand. Right now, the guilt he's feeling is basically crushing him under its weight. He doesn't even have the will to live. My wife is the same. She's blaming herself for forcing him to study for better grades. She thinks that's why the incidents took place. And I'm no different. I'm blaming myself for not being involved in my son's education. I think that's why the incidents took place. The cross will forever be on our shoulders, even after the injured child accepts our apologies. Yet our cold society would tell us to die under the weight of that cross. Even so, we have to live. We have to accept our sins and carry our burdens on our shoulders. Maybe we can start a new life here in this village. I thought about all that as I watched the girls dance. Keiichi needs friends like them. Friends like these girls who will offer him so much more than the friends who only talked about cram schools and exam results. The girls are playing near a sign that doesn't fit into this open field. It's a sign about lots for sale, and the name of the realtor who brought me here for the tour is written on it. Does that mean we can live even in this beautiful area if we want to? One of the girls spoke as if reading my mind. This is a wonderful village. You'll find lots of things you don't have in the big city. Yeah, that's right. I think so too. But I think you'll bring some things from the city to this village that we don't have. Do we have anything? Sure you do. Oh, we've lived in this village for hundreds of years just like this. Nobody comes to visit and nothing happens. And so, nothing ever changes. Isn't that what's good about this place? Didn't you come here because you wanted to change something? Yeah, you're right about that. We want new people to come here too. It's like breaking the dam that keeps the swamp water from flowing out. Water is purified by moving. If it stays motionless, then it's just a swamp. In fact, this village used to be named after a swamp up until the Meiji era, but the name was changed to Hinamizawa. The water in a swamp stagnates because it doesn't flow, but the water in a stream stays fresh. Besides, you all are the ones who will teach us that. That dams can be broken, should be broken. Are they playing riddles with me? I have no idea what they're trying to say. But there's one thing I know. The villagers are waiting for new people to come here, and they want to build a future with those newcomers. I looked at the sign behind the girls one more time, so I'd remember this place. I have already decided. We'll be waiting for you to move here, Maibara. Oh, there you are. Sir, how did you get this far out? A raspy voice from the distance ended this innocent moment. It's the realtor. I guess he's been looking for me because I didn't return. Sorry about that. I got lost. I apologized while scratching my head. I turned around to look for the girls, but they weren't there anymore. Alright, last fragment for the day. So after that, we'll have this. What's this one? Her revenge and him changing schools. Himatsubushi, Onikakushi, Sumihoroshi. Wait, these are different orders, I think. Yeah, this is 2 and 5. I wish these colors made a bit more, or fragments made a bit more sense, these pictures. It's a bit hard to tell what each one is. Seven fragments. 1, 5, 6, 7. Yep. What is this? June 1983. So him changing schools is about to happen, and her revenge is required. She hasn't had revenge, so that must be this. Let's do Keiichi and end the day. But this is the school? Yeesh. This really is the sticks. Keiichi, don't say stuff like that. The people in this area love coming here. That was my first impression of the Hinamizawa branch school. No matter how I look at it, it doesn't look like a school at all. It even has a sign that says Hinamizawa Forestry Service. You're right. We're borrowing the building from the Forestry Service, said the man they called the principal as he laughed heartily. Although it doesn't look like it, it is in fact a school. The rules may be a little different from the one you went to previously, though. Are you okay with that? Yes. I heard all the grades are put in the same classroom at this school. I didn't believe it, but I think it really is true. They're all younger than I am, so I guess it'll be like kindergarten. It'll be interesting compared to my previous school where everyone looked the same age. If you transfer her here, he'll be the oldest boy in the class. So you'll have to be a good role model for the younger students. Younger students have the tendency to copy bad habits from the older ones. I'll be keeping my eyes on you, so make sure you're aware of that, okay? But I understand. I'll do my best. Keiichi, what she means is that textbooks aren't the only things you learn from them. As a member of the class, and also as an older student, you have to be a good example. I know that already. After that, Chie-sensei brought us to an empty classroom and showed me where my desk would be. Since we're still growing, I'm sure our sizes are very different. There are some desks that are way too small for me to even put my legs under, and some that are just perfect for me. There are approximately 30 desks in here. But since all the different grades are in the same room, I'm sure it's very lively. There's also a wall. A wall full of calligraphy and art from different grades. It's all pretty exciting. Nothing like my previous school. It reminds me of the days when I truly enjoyed my school life. Dad, I like it here. I like this school better than the other one in the town. I think my son likes it here. I wanted to go to this school too. I see. The school in Okonomi has more resources and better teachers, though. Even while saying that, Chie-sensei looked happy to hear that a new student would be transferring into her class. My father and the teachers went back to the teacher's office to get the transfer process going. In the meantime, I decided to stay in the classroom and look around. I didn't care about the move. I'd lost the will to live because of what I did. I didn't have any willpower, and I couldn't even get out of bed. So when my parents told me about the move, I thought that wouldn't change anything. But after the move, something did change. I want to restart my life. I want to restart my life and become someone I've always wanted to be. Here in Hinamizo and at this school, I can do that. I'm not going back to who I was. I'll never again think that good grades are the most important thing in this world. I have a feeling that I can learn the things that are really important in life here at this school. I never had the chance to learn them before now. It's almost embarrassing to put into words. But they're extremely valuable things. And if you don't learn them, you won't become a decent adult. The students at this school learned them a long time ago. To them, they're a given. Yeah, I have to spend time learning about them even at this age. How to make friends, how to play with friends, to play. Things you can only learn from play. Things like socializing with others, etc. etc. They should have put that into one thing. It seems so easy. But it'll take me a while to learn them. I pushed those things aside and devoted myself to studying. I'm not trying to say studying isn't important, but you shouldn't become blinded by it. If someone says studying and good grades are the most important things in life, he's talking bullshit. So I can restart my life here at this school. Finally, I can become someone I've always wanted to. I noticed two girls looking at me through the window. The schoolyard must also be a playground for these children, because I saw a lot of them playing there earlier. I guess those two noticed me walking around the classroom and became curious. I guess that's natural. I'm a stranger to them. Should I say hello and let them know that I'm starting school next Monday? Finally. We've been waiting for so long. Oh, it is her. Oh, whoa, whoa. This will change things. Because Keiichi is the 6 on the die. Yes, he is. But his die rolls a 1 far too often. Oh. That's not Keiichi's fault, though. It's all your fault, Hanyu. It's because of you. Apologize to Keiichi. Oh, whoa. Huh? Do you know my name? She said my name, didn't she? Did I hear her wrong? I've never met her before. Nippon, are you a new student? Huh? Nice to meet you. I'm Keiichi Maibara. I'm starting next Monday. Take care of me, okay? Oh, whoa. Sure thing. Here's a message for you, Keiichi, from the Shrine Maiden of the Furude Shrine. On your first day, be careful when you come through the door to the classroom. Also, there will be a thumbtack on the back of your chair. There will be a toy frog in your desk, too. But even with this warning, you fall for it again and again. Your Monday is going to be disastrous. Poor Keiichi. That's why it's fun. Why don't you try overcoming that fate sometime? You'll be the one to teach us that. In one of the many worlds, right? Huh? I'll be reminded of the prophecy made by the two girls next Monday because of the actions of a snaggletooth girl. I'll realize it too late, though. But I like it here. My name is Keiichi Maibara. This is my new beginning, and this time I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest. I've been missing out so much, but I'm going to learn all of those things here. I'm going to absorb all of it. I'll become someone I've always wanted to become. It may take a very long time, but I'll definitely do it. Actually, I have enough time for one more fragment, so if you don't mind, I'm going to do that. I want to see what this invitation to the end is. Grandfather's articles were trampled on. We have proof as clear as the pathogen causing Hinamizo syndrome, so why can't I believe in its life cycle? Because they've never heard of that before? Because they can't imagine it? Because there's no way something so absurd could be true? Don't tell me that. I can't bring myself to care about the limits of those commoners' understanding. Why can't anyone believe the truth of my grandfather's article, which has been proven by the Erie Institute? Why do people continue to believe that humans are a special existence? Humans are simply a species of animal. When various parasites that control their animal hosts exist, how can people declare that parasites that use humans as their hosts don't? Wait, this isn't the problem. Not at all. Because everyone believed my grandfather's article up until now. Isn't that why the Ministry of Health and the Defense Agency lent me their assistance? But out of nowhere they turned cold. In other words, every bit of their help was because Uncle Koizumi had my back. So nobody actually read my grandfather's article? Did they just pretend to, in order to make Uncle Koizumi happy? What is the meaning of everything I've done up until today? I thought I had achieved something, but what have I really accomplished? I don't know what's going on. All I can do is wallow in grief. The more I think about it, the more I no longer understand the meaning of my own life. Didn't Mio Takano devote her life to being useful for her grandfather? Then, I haven't done anything for him at all. Count 3 with my grandfather, I go on to count 4. What a crazy thing to say. No. If I let my mind wander, doubt about myself and my life will slip in. So I'm just going to fill the gap in my heart with alcohol. Is it that strange to presume the existence of something that can influence human thoughts? It's true that Higurashi syndrome isn't the actual cause of ideology. The best it can do is drive people mad. Socialism or capitalism don't originate with it. In the era my grandfather was living, you couldn't talk about the world without ideology. The article came from that time and age, so some of its inferences may be exaggerated or biased, but there's no reason to deny its foresight. You can't simply say it's crazy and push it aside. Besides, the most important thing they ignored is the fact that Rika Furude, the Queen Carrier, holds the fate of the village in her hands. My grandfather had predicted the importance and danger of the Queen Carrier since beginning his research on Higurashi syndrome. But the hypothesis of the infected community collapsing into madness if the Queen Carrier dies is a Pandora's box that can't be proven. It can only be confirmed after Rika Furude's death, and if she dies, it'll be too late. But there's no mistake that Rika Furude is the Queen Carrier, and a very special existence. It's clear from the various experiments we've performed that she has a special influence on the infected villagers. Her death really could trigger the collapse of the entire village. That's no mistake. My grandfather predicted it. To say all that sounds like a comic book. It's just too cruel. For them to call the various preparations we've made to protect her a fictional project that was used to tunnel funds, what I'm doing now is simply what my grandfather was going to do. Therefore, insulting my research is the same as insulting my grandfather. According to my grandfather's article, the first thing that needs to be done when researching the syndrome is to protect the Queen Carrier. Yet, they ridiculed that more than anything else. The more I think about it, the more their words stick in my memory. I can almost hear their voices. I can't stop myself from covering my ears. I'm sure the members of the board of directors think I'm crazy. I was trying to petition for the Erie Institute to not be shut down, but it backfired, as expected. The members must think that Higurashi syndrome is some kind of joke. I'm sure they'll push even harder now to put a stop to our research. If that happens, I would have to go back to researching as an individual. In other words, the same as what my grandfather did. There's a limit to what an individual can do. It's doubtful if I would even be able to go back to researching it individually. Once the Area Institute is disbanded, everyone is obligated to keep it confidential until we die. I signed a contract to that extent. That's not just a simple promise. If I were to break it, a special unit like the Mountain Dogs would come after me to ensure that I keep everything confidential. Even if that doesn't happen, the Erie Institute is to eradicate the syndrome within a few years and to bury every trace of it, including the results of our research. This isn't the normal process of research and treatment. They want to pretend nothing ever happened to begin with. I wanted to continue and to complete my grandfather's work, but what's happening now will result in the complete opposite. I'm actually helping to eliminate my grandfather's hard-earned research from this world. A treatment has been created already. Although Ari is as passionate as I am about developing a cure, he's not particularly interested in any other aspect of our research. I hate to admit it, but he has more experience and talent than I do. I'm sure he'll come up with a plan for eradicating Hinamizawa syndrome within 3 years, as requested by the new board of directors. And that board of directors will provide just enough funds to bury the syndrome. Aria will do that happily, just like the time when he disposed of all the research data on test medicine H170, as was requested. All I can do is passively hinder them, just like they did me, while watching the Hinamizawa syndrome get eradicated. And when everything's over, I'll finally complete an article which is destined to be destroyed. Should I kill myself with thoughts of it in my head so I can at least present the article to my grandfather? He won't be happy even if I did that. On the contrary, he'll be disappointed in me for throwing the research he spent half his life on down the drain. He won't embrace me, I know that for sure. I wanted to reveal Hinamizawa syndrome to the world. I wanted the world to acknowledge my grandfather's masterpiece. I wanted to carve his name in history and promote him to a god. My grandfather waited, believing that day would come, and he must be patiently waiting still, even after entering his eternal sleep. But I ruined it. I wanted him to become a god. I was going to become a god myself, too. Then we will be alone forever together, and I'll never have to be alone. If I become a god, God won't test me. There won't be any unhappiness. There won't be a sudden train accident. My grandfather won't go away, nor will Uncle Koizumi. I'll never have to go back to being alone. I'm alone. I have no allies. I was just dancing in ecstasy on stage without anybody watching. I had only just realized that there was no applause, but only ridicule. No, it's doubtful there was actually anyone in the audience to begin with. My parents died, my grandfather died, and then Uncle Koizumi died. 3 times had God toyed with me with their rolls of the dice. I thought I overcame each of those trials with my own strength, but I didn't. I was protected by a new guardian each time, and this time I have no guardians left to protect me. When I first arrived in Hinamizawa, I had every intention of challenging God and kicking him off of his throne. But now, forget challenging God. I'm just the loser being played with. I suddenly can't find it within myself to care about anything. Because if I cared, I'd be swallowed by sadness. Soaking my heart in alcohol is all I can do to forget about everything. A luxurious black car abruptly stopped next to me. I became sober immediately, as cars like that remind me of the time when I was captured after escaping the orphanage. Suspicious-looking men in black suits and sunglasses got out from the car. I realized it instantly. They must have been sent by one of my clients. Being involved in the development of a biological weapon, being the main person responsible for it, and on top of that, being mentally unstable. They obviously don't want me walking around freely. They're going to abduct me, seal me in concrete, and erase my existence. Or so I thought. I expected them to grab me and shove me into the car, but surprisingly they bowed deeply to me instead. Are you the vice administrator of the Erie Institute, Major Miyotakano? Normally, yes. I'm just a drunk loser at the moment, though. There is someone who would like to meet with you. Could you please come along with us? Even if I refuse, you're going to take me along anyway, right? I'll be killed anyway. I can't make my grandfather's wish come true, even if I live. Cynical thoughts like that ran through my head. Then the person in the back seat said, "We won't force you, but I'm sure we can help. I've never met this young woman before. She must be around my age. She knows about the Area Institute, so she must be somehow connected to my clients. She's too young to be one herself. I bet a client who doesn't want to expose himself sent her. Even if I live, I can't make my grandfather a god. I can't be a god myself either. Who cares about where a loser like me gets killed anyway? I made up my mind and got into the back seat. As soon as I got in, the luxurious car smoothly took off. Silence filled the car for a time. They're the ones that invited me. I don't have anything to say myself. Long time no see, though I'm sure you don't remember. We met in passing at Koizumi-sensei's funeral. Oh, we did? Sorry, I don't remember. There were so many people at that funeral. I can't recall any of them. But why is that what she's opening with? Does that mean she belongs to the Koizumi faction? Koizumi-sensei was very active as one of the opinion leaders during the post-war restoration. You can't begin to talk about the way the country is today without mentioning his accomplishments. When we were rebuilding the country from the burnt fields after the war, our nation's supporters were united, but unfortunately it's hard to say that now. As our time of peace grew longer, and we started seeing the generation who didn't remember the burnt fields become key national figures, we saw a decline in those who understood the noble intentions we started with. As the final remaining member of those noble men, Koizumi-sensei was a central pillar guiding us into the 21st century. After his death, the Koizumi faction quickly fell. As a result, other factions are extending their influence, leading everything to become quite a mess, right? I heard about these things from Jiro-san. It's really no different from the Sengoku era. When a lord or military leader died back then, the struggle to become his successor brought chaos to the nation. This country hasn't changed for hundreds of years. Exactly. Unfortunately, while we built peaceful Japan into a comfortable place to live, the noble intentions that guided us from the outset have been forgotten. Right now, various factions are fighting in Tokyo over the seat left behind by Koizumi-sensei. If Koizumi-sensei and the other deceased servicemen ever found out about this, they'd be so disappointed. What does that have to do with me? Aren't you the biggest victim of all this? I think you've had enough experiences with sudden shifts in the wind, haven't you? It's true our research began because of his support, and the pressures we faced under the anti-Koizumi faction have been tempestuous and cold. Maybe for them, every project that Koizumi-sensei left behind is an eyesore, regardless of what that project is. In other words, that simply means they rejected the research itself. Doesn't it? Come to think of it, something like this happened to my grandfather too. Back then, Koizumi brought authorities from various fields to see him. They talked down to my grandfather, despite the praise they'd given him earlier. Koizumi-sensei told me that the masterminds were responsible for that, but not her grandfather. It's not too much of a stretch to say that your research into Hinamizawa syndrome is the #1 leader in terms of funding, organization, and so forth in terms of project within the Alphabet Project. Therefore, it's been made into a scapegoat by those people who want to monopolize the interests of the project. A scapegoat? What I mean is that your research into the Hinamizawa syndrome isn't what they rejected. What's important to them isn't the content, but the faction leading the project. I wanted to tell you that today. In the end, I'm just a sacrificial goat put up for everyone to see, huh? Doesn't matter what I research. The only thing they care about is that we belong to the Koizumi faction. That's correct. The faction in control is like the direction of the wind. Sometimes it's the tailwind, sometimes it's the headwind. Unfortunately, once the direction changes, it's not easy to turn it back around. So you're saying it won't be easy to bring my hostile clients back? That's correct. The Alphabet Project has been taken over completely. All of the directors have been replaced, and they're only interested in fulfilling their own desires. From the very beginning, they had no intention of listening to your explanation. I grasped my knees, remembering that humiliating day. Let me change the subject for now. What would you consider the objective of your research, Takuma-san? Huh? That is, to fulfill my intellectual curiosity. Isn't it the promise you made with the late Dr. Takano, who you looked up to as your grandfather? Well, that's surprising. Koizumi-sensei once told me that this fact would become a hindrance, so I've never told any of my clients about it. How would she find out? If they know that, maybe they know a lot more about us than I think. Where did you hear about that? Koizumi-sensei told me. We're not your enemies. Please relax. We're here to help you. I don't know who she really is, but I know she's here because she wants something from me. So what is it that she wants? She knows about the relationship between my grandfather and me, so I can't be careless. But in order for us to help you, we need to have you tell us the truth. In other words, we want you to be honest. I don't know what you're trying to say. What is your true purpose in researching Hinamizo syndrome? To have my grandfather's masterpiece acknowledged for what it is, and to have him become a god. Isn't it to have the world acknowledge that the late, and to get revenge against those who trampled upon and looked down on the articles your grandfather wrote with all his heart? I'm reaching the limit of not letting my surprise show on my face. How much does this woman know about me? In the first place, who is she? How does she know everything I'm thinking? I can't admit that out loud in any case. I have appearances to consider. But while this elegant woman was wearing an angelic smile, she laughed with the devil's seductive whisper, several times better at it than I am. A simple smile and a devilish grin are completely different. An ordinary smile means goodwill, while a malicious smirk means the complete opposite. This woman can read my deepest thoughts, and while doing so, she's testing me to see how honest I can be with her. Whether I tell her the truth or not isn't the issue here. She's testing me to see if I can trust her enough to confess everything. If I completely misunderstood, please forgive me. We'll take you to the nearest train station. That'd be Gogura Station, wouldn't it? Well, on the other hand, if what I'm saying is somewhere close to what you're feeling, I think we can help each other. What do you think, Mio Takano-san? I can't say anything in reply, but I think that simply remaining silent might also be an answer. I want to hear what she wants from me. I've always phrased my objective as some vague idea of turning my grandfather into a god. But she's just taught me what my true objective is. I want to get revenge for my grandfather's suffering. I want those people to fight over the right to read the article that they once trampled on and mocked. I want them to believe, no, to worship every single word my grandfather left behind. That is my true objective. This woman has stated out loud that which I have only whispered within myself. She even asked me if she was correct. Is this woman an angel or a devil? If I'm a human, is she in existence above me? Your misfortune was that you didn't understand your true objective. That's why you couldn't achieve anything. You set an abstract goal like uncovering the mysteries of Hinamizo syndrome, which could never be achieved, so you couldn't help but to question the meaning of your own life. Isn't that right? That's wrong. Your actual objective, your earnest dream, isn't so abstract. Can you imagine? Just think of this scene. The true leaders of the nation are reading your grandfather's article. While shocked at its contents, they believe all of it without even a hint of doubt. These people humbly read the article with footprints on its back. They express their respect at the insightfulness of his research, and tremble in fear at its implications. What do you think? Were you able to imagine it? This is my first time envisioning something like this. And yet, it's been my dream all along. Your grandfather is the one who named it Hinamizo syndrome, right? That name will echo into every corner of this nation, and it will be carved into eternity. Except it won't echo whatsoever. Carved into eternity, for all time. Indeed, your grandfather's masterpiece will be remembered forever. Isn't that the dream you've devoted your whole life to realizing? My grandfather's masterpiece will be remembered forever. Remembered forever. And yet, those pigs who couldn't understand turned your dream into a sacrifice, simply because of factional conflicts of interest. They're even trying to trample it into the ground. Just like how they kept trampling on your grandfather's article. See? You must be full of regret. The data you've worked so hard for is indeed the same as the article your grandfather did his best to produce. You can't forgive the people who laughed at it. You can't forgive those pigs who ridiculed your grandfather's masterpiece, right? Aren't I right? Oh, I know I am. But you didn't think about that, because you're so kind as to not know how to condemn people. See? An indescribable emotion is filling me, making me feel like I'm suffocating. The sensation of being cautious and calm. Trust and mistrust. We're all blending together. My heart is beating fast, and my fingertips are shaking. Why am I at peace? Is it because she reminded me of my true dream that I couldn't express with my own words until now? Is it because she made me aware of the anger within myself? Why am I hesitant? Is it because she reminded me of things I've never told anyone until now? No, those are the things I've never even told myself. Hey, Mio-san, if what I'm saying isn't wrong, but is in fact completely true, I know I can help you with both your dream and revenge. What's the matter? Are you feeling alright? If that's the case, I shouldn't keep you. We'll take you to the nearest station. No. A small noise leaked pathetically out of my mouth, like a child apologizing for a prank. Did you say something? I know she heard me. The woman smiled, trying to make me say it again. That's not it. I'm doing perfectly fine. I'm glad. Let's continue then. If that is in fact my dream, then what can you do? I'll help you with both of your vengeances. One is revenge for your grandpa. We'll make those people who ridiculed your grandfather's article humbly take it into their hands once again. The one they violated. The other is revenge against the board of directors for trampling over your research, simply because there are factional conflicts. Revenge against the filthy pigs who tried to stomp on not only your work, but on your life as well. Getting revenge against the board of directors by having them read my grandfather's article. We'll be honest with you two. We're helping you because our interests are the same. We can't allow the project that Koizumi-sensei established for the sake of Japan's future be eaten up by these lowlifes after his death. If we had more power, we wouldn't have allowed the scum to become involved at all. However, the wind started blowing in a different direction, and the project can no longer express Koizumi-sensei's ideals. It has become a pigsty for them to satisfy their own desires. Koizumi-sensei, who gave them the name Alphabet Project, would not have wished for it to remain this way. The project should have been shut down the minute it deviated from his ideals. So you're trying to make the sacrificial sheep of the factional conflict into a wolf, are you? If you choose to keep your grandfather's article hidden in your heart, I won't force you. No, I won't let that happen. I don't mind falling to the ground myself. But at least, my grandpa's article. Don't you want to make the article that represents you and your grandfather's lives into something that will last forever? After all, that's your dream, isn't it? That's right. That's my reason to live. We'll give you a chance to make your dream come true. On the night I decided I was a loser in life and drowned myself in tears and alcohol, after being abandoned by everything, I met someone who could be an angel or a devil. Is this divine salvation or the devil's seduction? I fought with the board of directors regarding the continuation of our research, but that was completely off target. That wasn't my true goal. My objective isn't to continue researching Hinamizawa syndrome. It's to have the world acknowledge my grandfather's research as a masterpiece. Somehow, the method for achieving that swapped places with my objective and caused me to misunderstand myself. The purpose of my life isn't to continue my grandfather's research. It's to get revenge and repay them for my grandfather's suffering. That's what this woman is saying. She's promising to make my grandfather's research eternal. She's also promising an opportunity to take a revenge against those who laughed at it. When Uncle Koizumi died, I thought God was playing dice with my fate. But my unshakable conviction gathered together a power stronger than God's die. So maybe this meeting happened for a reason. Curse you, God, for you're testing me again. I'll overcome the death of Uncle Koizumi, and I'll make my grandfather an eternal existence by taking revenge against the God who tested me. I will, for certain. I will take my revenge. And that is the game board being set, I guess. Because with this, what do we have? 7, 9 fragments? Who knows how long these will take, though? That's the main issue. Yep. 7 on this page, 2 on the next one. The Revenge of Miyotaku. That must be the only thing I have left. Then it's just fragment time. So let's do our save. And we'll stop here for today. Next stream is Tuesday night, where I finally continue to Slay the Spire, which I have been having the itches to play it so badly. That'll be at 7:30 p.m. EST. Hope you all have a good rest of your morning, day, or evening. Bye-bye.